Yunwoo pursed her lips. This passive situation made her very uncomfortable. Looking up at the knight, I didn't take the water cup, but I saw the knight's eyes joking. I slowly put the water cup to my mouth, took a drink, and handed it to Yunwoo. Are you afraid that I will poison here? Yunwoo narrowed her eyes slightly, thought for a while, then slowly took the cup and took a drink. Suddenly, a burst of hot throat comfortable. She coughed twice, found that his voice has gradually become normal, heart vomit. But still very suspicious of the knight. This has not appeared before, now suddenly appeared in her side. In the end, what idea? The knight clapped his hands again. So the two attendants came up and brought up the dishes and put them on the table. The knight turned to look at the cloud dance and said, "Eat first. You haven't eaten these days. It's not good to be hungry again." Cloud dance brow tight wrinkly, don't know so. This person is thinking now exactly what is exactly evil. But now it seems that there is no threat to themselves. So she got out of bed with a huge stomach and sat down at the table. Do you have any intention? The food on the table immediately aroused her senses, and she felt empty in her stomach. Hunger made her dizzy. How can I have any intention? Knight said, picked up the chopsticks and put the order into his mouth. I brought you here, so you can rest assured that if I want to kill you, I'm afraid you have already started when you are in a coma. Cloud dance lung for a while. Pour also is slightly ponder ask again. But why do you want to bring me here? Where is here? He touched his stomach and frowned again. What's the matter with the child in my stomach? You asked so many questions. How do you want me to answer them? The knight couldn't help laughing and sighing. The whole person sat in the dim shadow of the lamp, and his face was not fixed by the shadow of the lamp. This is an alien world that has nothing to do with any place. Knight said, I bring you here of course for your own good. Cloud dance frowns tightly. For my good? You are both good and evil. How can I know if you want to harm me? In my heart, I didn't relax my vigilance at all. I enjoyed eating at night, so I picked up chopsticks and began to eat vegetables. And now, the child inside you is about to be born, and I'm here to save you and your child. Knight pick eyebrow to see Cloud dance, mouth slightly warped, smile is very evil. Yunwoo thought it was incredible but just sneered and said, Why do you need to worry about me and my children? Knight sneer, suddenly close to the clouds, two faces, only a finger of the distance. Because if not, your child will soon suck you up. Pale Cloud dance suddenly lost in thought. Suck me up? Cloud dance a little puzzled. How can my child suck me up, and I was feeding him? Wrong. Knight straight up side shook his head. He can not only absorb nutrients in your body, but also absorb your energy. My energy? Cloud dance heart suddenly sank. She gently stroked the stomach, as if this is the case, although he did not know exactly some news of the child in the stomach. However, she can vaguely feel that the child is sucking something to grow up, and now, it is still growing slowly. He lowered his head slowly and danced in the clouds for a long time without any response. He just sat there quietly, as if thinking about whether this person's words were believable or not. There was no expression on his face. So what you need now is to have a baby here. Nightlight said, and the eyes are blinking at the reaction of Cloud dance sitting on the bed. Yunwoo looked up again, his eyes full of disbelief. You mean I want to raise a baby here? Night serious nodded. Your child will absorb the source of your life. If you don't want to die, also don't want him to die, you must let him stop absorbing your strength, so only here can protect you and children are safe. Yunwoo was silent for a long time and didn't speak. At last she asked, How are my family and friends? They're all safe. You can rest assured. Knight turned around, lowered his head to pour himself a glass of water. The candle around him cast a shadow on his face. Cannot see the expression. I don't know if I should believe the words of the knight, but the child is in her body. Of course, she knows what energy the child really depends on to survive. Now Yunwoo can feel the loss of life energy in the body. Compared with the past, it is even weaker, and the child is growing up at a speed invisible to the naked eye. You're saying that if I had a baby here, I would be safe with the baby. The voice of Cloud dance is gradually small, with indecision in the voice. That's right. Knight said. Do you know where the dragon is? Cloud dance asked again. The knight is silent and shakes its head. Two people did not speak. Cloud danced quietly holding the dishes on the table, slowly stuttering, but in the heart is thinking about the cause and effect of this matter. And in front of the people say, also not necessarily credible. After dinner, because of what the knight said, Yunwoo thought for a long time, so he let Yunwoo think. Yunwoo sits on the bed with her knees crossed. She closes her eyes and adjusts her breath. While she is recuperating, she is thinking about the present situation. After sleeping for so long, her body seems to be unable to move. Looking inside her body, she finds that her body is in deficit. Obviously, her life energy is not as strong as before, and her physical condition is not as good as before. Continue to meditate and practice. I find that the sleepiness during this period has not improved. On the contrary, my physical condition has subsided a lot. She frowned, Cloud danced and pursed her lips, and began to urge her fighting spirit to her stomach. She wanted to know what kind of existence this child, who had not been explored by others, was. She carefully urged the fight forward, slowly reached the abdomen around the baby. However, she found that the baby in her stomach still made her unable to detect any breath of life. Sure enough, it felt like the baby in her stomach was not alive at all. However, Cloud Dance can feel the energy absorption. Cloud Dance's heart is very strange. The existence of this child is really strange, but now what is like, is still a mystery. However, she urged her fighting spirit to swim in her body for 2 more times, but she still couldn't see anything. She had to give up, take it back and continue to concentrate on cultivation. What is the origin of this child? Yunwoo frowned, opened her eyes and looked out of the window. There was a dark sky outside the window. Although Yunwoo had not gone out yet, she felt very uncomfortable because of her depression. Thinking of what the knight said, this place is a natural place full of dark energy, and the dark energy is the most abundant. This child can only be born smoothly after absorbing the dark energy, and it can only be born safely in this extremely cold dark place. But now she is dubious about Night. Although most of Night's remarks have been confirmed, in her intuition, it seems that Night has something to hide. The feeling of Night is really strange. It seems that evil is not evil, and it seems that right is not right. He often wears black robes and black hats. The oppressive black of his whole body makes people feel very uncomfortable. But about the child, I didn't cheat myself. Because of the special physique of himself and the dragon, the child would not have been born. It must be because of the swallowing power in the cloud house at that time that the child was born in the belly, and the child's breeding has been constantly absorbing their own life. But even if all of us didn't feel the lifeblood of this life, what we are carrying here is indeed the child bred by the dragon. This is a living life. At this time, this life is gently breathing in its own stomach with itself, and life is integrated into one. This makes Yunwoo's heart very soft. The slight fluctuation of the child is in her induction. Her mouth is slightly tilted, and the smile is full of love, as if a mother is caressing her lovely child. Suddenly I felt like a mother. Close your eyes, search the contents of the tornado in your mind, and see some records inside. Yunwoo has gradually understood something. It seems that there is nothing wrong with what ye said. This child is probably what the world calls the devil fetus. It needs the help of external forces to help the child absorb and grow up. I'm afraid that the power in his own body is not enough for the child's growth. If you blindly let the children absorb their own strength, I'm afraid they will die when the child is born. Yunwoo opens her eyes, and her eyes become clear and firm. She has made up her mind to go down to look for the idea of dragon's evil, and give birth to the child first. When she made up her mind, she was still sad. After all, the life and death of Long Qingxia were uncertain, and she was pregnant with the child in her stomach. In her heart, she has made the worst plan for Long Qingxia. She simply gives birth to herself and her child. If she really knows that Long Qingxia has died, then this child, raised by herself, will avenge Long Qingxia in the future. Thinking of this, she tightly pursed her lips, narrowed her eyes, gently hugged her stomach, and watched the sky go from dark to white. This inexplicable thing upset people. Are you awake? Night came in from the outside, still wearing a black robe, with a black hat, very mysterious. Think about it. What do you decide to do? Are you going to find Long Qingxie and kill the child together, or are you going to give birth to the child? I've decided. I'm going to have a baby. Cloud Dance frowned, eyes very serious, looking at the knight. I want to believe you very much, so I hope you don't cheat me, otherwise at that time, I will make you regret for what you are doing now. With a slight smile, the knight seemed to hear something funny. It seems that you have no one to believe except me. Knight raised the corner of his mouth, turned to go out of the door, stood at the door, looked back and said, Clean up, I'll wait for you outside the door. Yunwu clenched her fists. Her eyes were very cold, but she bit her teeth and said nothing. She had no way to do it, and she didn't know others. She would not do anything to her own benefit. After a simple cleanup, Yunwu looked down at his stomach, and then walked out of the room. It seems that everything in the alien world is very desolate. When you go out of the courtyard and look outside, there are low houses, all gray and black. Few people walk around in the street. There are a few people who are also wearing black clothes and black gauze. They are very depressed. Cloud Dance feel particularly uncomfortable, frowning with the knight behind. They did not cross the depressing street, but went straight to the mountain behind the house. Qianshana stroke, chiefing listed, towering straight into the sky of the peaks, still with gray color. People cannot see how high. The knight leads the cloud to dance. Walk slowly to the foot of the mountain. There is a cave there. Come with me. The knight turns to glance at the clouds. See, Cloud Dance is still indifferent face, but closely behind, mouth with a faint smile. Into the cave will be in front of the torch downlit. Turned to look at the Cloud Dance behind, said, I bring you here, raise the baby thing, can rely on your own. Yunwu didn't answer, but he held his hand tightly. The more you go down, the darker and colder it is. The torch in the night only lights up a small area in front of you, which makes Yunwu feel very insecure and unconsciously alert. Suddenly, a cold wind came from the cave, making Yunwu tremble all over. However, the child in her stomach seemed to be suddenly excited and active in her stomach. Stand still, Knight said, and then he went forward and lit the torches in front of him one by one. Yunwu was surprised to find that in this place, he couldn't see the situation clearly in the dark, even a little bit about the outline in front of him, but the movement of the baby in his stomach was getting bigger and bigger. He was relieved, that is to say, the child really survived by absorbing the dark energy. We are about to reach the most central position. This position has always been the place with the most dark energy. Here is the most suitable place for you to raise your baby. Yunwu holds his stomach. He feels that the baby in his stomach is very active and the fetal movement is very obvious, which makes her mouth start up and show a loving smile. They went down, and finally became colder and colder. Yunwu's mouth had already exhaled white air. This place didn't blend with the outside environment, which surprised Yunwu. Holding back the trembling of his whole body, the cloud danced into the darkness. In the darkness, there was a huge stone, emitting colder temperature in the darkness. This let Cloud Dance can't help but cringe for a while. Walk forward slowly. Touch that stone lightly with finger. Suddenly a very cold air, along the fingers, instantly flow through the whole body. Her face a white, quickly back a step, but the abdomen of the fetus is suddenly excited. Feet kick Cloud belly. The cold air ran through Yunwu's body, which made Yunwu turn pale and drive it out with fighting spirit. However, he could not help frowning at the thought of practicing on this stone, absorbing the energy of the dark place, and waiting for the birth of the fetus. All of a sudden, Yunwu felt that the dark energy around him began to flow in his own direction, gradually absorbed by the baby. Cloud Dance Lung looked down at his stomach. Gradually, I ground across a touch of surprise. She gently stroked his stomach, smile. Well, I'll have a baby here. You can go. Yunwu took a deep breath, bit his teeth, trembled and sat on the stone. As soon as she got up, her whole body seemed to be surrounded by cold ice, which made her teeth fight. She desperately resisted the impulse to jump down, sat on the stone and closed her eyes. I'll send someone to deliver dinner to you regularly. Take care of yourself. Knight said so, turned away. Yunwu closed his eyes, urged the fighting spirit, quietly felt the dark and cold breath around him, and suddenly found that, driven by himself, The dark breath around him began to pour into his body in large quantities and continuously. And the baby in the body is like a hungry little beast. All the dark energy is continuously transported into the baby's body. Finally relieved, it seems that the child should be the night mouth said so decided to calm down, quietly raise the baby. The breath of darkness was absorbed by the baby, and he became more and more active. Yunwoo was very happy, because she could feel the existence of the baby more and more now. This child, who used to be invisible to all doctors, was so active in her stomach now. It has been several days in the dark and extremely cold place. Yunwoo shivers with cold and her face is blue. For the sake of the child, she has been sitting on the stone with her eyes closed and silent. The dark energy pouring into her body makes her body emit cold. She feels that she is going to be frozen. Soon, because of the extreme cold, Yunwoo's body had a thin layer of frost, and then, she forced the cold out of her body with fighting chi. However, such a great consumption let her suddenly cold sweat, and the cold sweat on the body, and formed a layer of frost. Yunwoo girl, come to dinner. The maidservant's voice awakened Yunwoo from the practice. When she looked up, she came out of the darkness with a food box and put it in front of her. Cloud Dance vomited breath, to her smile, picked up chopsticks. Trouble girl. You're welcome, Yunwoo girl. I did it according to the master's request. The maid said with a respectful smile. Yunwoo picked up the dish and put it into the import, but he didn't have time to swallow it. But suddenly, there was a violent spasm, like the feeling of a child kicking his stomach. Does it mean that the child doesn't like the taste of food? Thinking of this in her heart, she suddenly felt a surge in her stomach. She quickly covered her mouth, stood up and rushed to one side. She vomited all the food that had not been taken in, until her face turned pale. The maid frowned and patted Yunwoo on the back to help her go smoothly. However, Yunwoo was dizzy at this time. She laughed wearily and nodded. Thank you very much. The maid looked at her sorrowfully and sighed. Miss Yunwoo, I really admire you. Cloud Dance Rai smile. Just you take away all these food I really can't eat, maybe tomorrow I will eat. The maid had to nod, put all the food that had not moved on the ground into the food box, and left the dark place with it. Yunwoo sighed. She obviously felt tired and powerless. She vomited, slowly stood up, walked back to the boulder, sat down, closed her eyes and continued to meditate. However, the next day, when the maid came in with the food box, Yunwoo could not bear the smell of food. She rushed to one side and vomited until the bile came out. Looking at Yunwoo's reaction, the maid was too scared to take out the things in the food box, so she had to stand aside quietly with the food box. Cloud Dance finally vomited a breath, slowly came back. She felt her legs were trembling, climbed the boulder, but Rai smile. Trouble you still keep sending things to me. With a sigh, the maid took the food away again. The baby grows up day by day. The baby's body grows rapidly in Yunwoo's belly. It's like a sponge. She can't eat anything. She hasn't eaten for several days in a row. Living close to a little water, Yunwoo feels that her body is too heavy to lift her legs. However, every day, her maidservant will be very dedicated to deliver food, and Yunwoo is also very cooperative, but she always spits up. Miss Cloud Dance, dinner is over. Another day in the dark, the maidservant's voice interrupted Yunwoo's practice. At this time, Yunwoo just finished, opened her eyes, her face was pale, very ugly, she swallowed saliva, now instinctively began to fear food, but she knew, do not eat is certainly not good. In front of her, she put the food box on the ground and took out the food. A bowl of light vegetable porridge, a dish of light vegetables. Yunwoo plans to walk down from the stone. His huge stomach is very heavy, which makes Yunwoo falter. In addition, in the extremely cold dark place, the dark energy is very strong. On weekdays, Yunwoo is very powerful, and he doesn't find that the dark energy has any effect on his body. But now so weak, dark energy into the body has been devastated not like. She vomited, trembled and wrapped her clothes tightly, but unexpectedly, her feet just stood on the ground. Her legs suddenly softened, and she knelt on the ground with a plop. I couldn't help laughing bitterly in my heart. It turned out that I was so weak now. My maid quickly came forward to help Yunwoo up, but after a few moves like this, Yunwoo was panting and sweating. Seeing that Yunwoo was weak, the maid brought the food to Yunwoo and handed the chopsticks to Yunwoo. The food was light and suitable for her sensitive taste. However, when Yunwoo smelled the smell, she still instinctively retched. But this time, she didn't really vomit. Instead, she endured nausea and ate the porridge in front of her. After a long time, although disgusted, Yunwoo didn't spit out his red eyes. The maid in front of him looked at Yunwoo with complicated eyes and sighed. I really don't know why the girl is suffering from this kind of crime for such a child. Cloud dance is still no words, just smile, and then continue to go to the boulder. But before I got to the boulder, I had already vomited out. As soon as I was soft, I almost fell down. The maid behind me quickly put down her food box and went to help her. The body became weak day by day. Finally, Yunwoo took the chopsticks. Fingers have no strength to pick up the chopsticks. Jingle, chopsticks rolled to the ground. The maid sighed, took the chopsticks back, wiped them clean, and continued to give them to Yunwoo. But Yunwoo said with a bitter smile, I can't eat anything now. Take it away. The voice was weak as if to faint. Although the maid had never met Yunwoo, she could not help frowning. Girl, if you go on like this, you may not be able to wait for the birth of a child. Yunwoo smiles weakly. Although it has reached the level of weakness, she is still very happy in her heart, because the effect of absorbing dark energy here is very significant. Yunwoo obviously feels that the fetus in her abdomen is absorbing the dark energy around her, growing up gradually, and her body seems to be stronger. However, Yunwoo's body is gradually weaker. In a shadow not far away, the knight stands there quietly. The black robe hides him perfectly in the dark. He squints and looks at the cloud dancing, which is too weak to start, sitting under the stone. His deep eyes are dark. After a while, he turned and left. Seeing that Yunwoo really had no appetite, the maid sighed, put away all the food, turned around and left. Finally, she turned to Yunwoo and said, I don't think you can go on like this. Girl, it's better to give up. Cloud Dance closed her eyes and shook her head weakly. Since we have been holding on for so long, what else can't continue? Time continues to move forward slowly. The feeling of Cloud Dance, every day there is a kind of feeling, finally opened his eyes in the dark. Cloud Dance vomited a breath, trance for a while, almost fell from the stone, quickly supported herself. She looked up around, everything around a little trance. She doesn't know how long she has been here, or what kind of time is outside. She feels the growth of the fetus every day in a trance. This may be the happiest thing for her in this extremely painful time. Yunwoo's whole body is shaking slightly, her hair is dry and confused. Her eyes are a little listless, her eyes are deep, her face is pale, because she has been absorbed energy for a long time. She has lost a big circle. At this time, coupled with the appearance of fatigue, her beautiful face actually had a trace of vicissitudes of life withered. She looked up at the darkness in front of her. Only a torch was weak. She closed her eyes, panted weakly, and her lips were dry. Shivering, her hands could hardly hold anything. She felt extremely fragile, as if she would die in the next second. Although this child is absorbing the energy of the dark place, he still seems to be absorbing his own energy. Yunwoo had already felt it, but for the sake of her child, she felt that she couldn't stop. She trembled, propped up her body and sat upright. Then she closed her eyes and continued to absorb the energy of the dark place. Night in the dark, eyes and hands cannot help but start a little bit more unexpected color. In such a bad situation, her body has obviously exceeded the load, but she still insists that even if her body has been destroyed by the dark energy, she constantly absorbs the dark energy to support her baby. She also knows that her energy is constantly absorbed by the fetus in her body. This child, just like the person sent by heaven to ask for Yunwoo's life, is constantly eating Yunwoo's will and body, making her weak. What kind of sacrifice can human women make for their children? Night heart sighs, eyes are full of accidents and inexplicable undercurrent, smile, disappear in the dark. Cloud Dance nearly collapse for days, by the child's constant fetal movement toss can't eat, plus the child absorbed her energy. Dark energy devastated her body. She lay on her side on the cold black boulder, and looked at the sky with her eyes unfocused, motionless, like a doll about to fall apart. Around her, countless black streams, almost visible to the naked eye, gathered from all directions, and then all poured into Yunwu's stomach. Yunwu blinked and breathed. All the darkness in front of her kept spinning. In the darkness, all kinds of colors appeared again. Suddenly, many people appeared in front of her. Xiaomu, Shueyin, countless people who have already left are smiling at Yunwu. Yunwu looks at everything in front of her, and her eyes are red. Long Qingxia. Where are you and how can I find you? The voice of Cloud Dance was extremely weak and trembling. Her voice was as thin as a mosquito's song. Even her breath was trembling. She closed her eyes and felt dizzy. People, Cloud family. Since the Cloud Dance disappeared that day, the whole Cloud family, and even the whole human world have fallen out. Then it was found that the mysterious knight disappeared with it. In his fury, Yunqi immediately orders to search the whole human world for their figures. Even Yunlingyi goes out to look for them. But after so many days, there is no news. Yunqi simply ordered to send someone to the upper boundary to ask all his friends in the upper boundary to help him find out. Now it has been going on for some days. On this day, Yunqi finished reading the news from all over the world, but there was no news of Yunwu, even at night. In a rage, Yunqi threw out all the letters in his hand. I'm so angry. Yunqi said angrily. This night, I should have seen him clearly. How could I believe him so easily? I'm really confused to regard him as a savior. One side of Gaoyu frowned and said, Master, although I haven't seen this knight before, I don't think he's the kind of person who came here intentionally. It's not intentional. How did Xiaowu disappear with him? Did Xiaowu leave by herself? Yunqi immediately retorted. You don't know that Xiaowu has been in a coma for many days, and there is no sign of waking up at all. That knight suddenly appears, and what he says is so strange. Who else can he be? Gaoyu frowned and knew that what Yunqi said was the most possible, but he always felt that something was wrong. If he really wanted Yunwu, according to the previous situation, he would not have to do any Yunwu at all. I think of it. Gaoyu said suddenly. Do you know the way to wake up that night? That's why we have to avoid all of us and take her away. Yunqi's eyes were shocked. What did you say? The more Gaoyu thought about it, the more he felt that it was possible. It's possible, it's really possible. That night didn't look malicious, and he told us so much about Mississippi. And the Nangong family also confirmed that what he said was true. Now he suddenly takes the young lady away. It must be because he knows how to make the young lady and the child live at the same time. I just can't figure out why he has to hide from so many of us since he is trying to help the young lady. Is there any other purpose for him? Yunqi also thinks that what Gaoyu said is reasonable, and then he thinks about it together. Xiaowu's identity is special. It's almost no secret in the human world and the upper world. It's just that there are not many people who know Xiaowu's power. Is it difficult for him to know that night, because it's so mysterious? It shouldn't be. Yunqi is wringing his eyebrows. Now he has some belief that night has no malice to Yunwu. The power in Miss? Gaoyu was stunned. In fact, he didn't know these things. He only knew that Yunwu's identity was very important. But listen to Yunqi say so. It seems that the identity of the young lady also contains what power? Is it the power of the witches? Thinking of this, Gaoyu immediately stopped himself from thinking about it. After all, if these things are true, they must be the top secret of the family. He had better not contact them. No, Yunqi said suddenly. If that knight is aimed at the power of Xiaowu, then his purpose must be not small. It's even possible that he is to use the little dance. Let the little dance use those forces to do something for him. And what we can do with that power? Yunqi looks at Gaoyu with eyes wide open. His voice is getting smaller and smaller. He doesn't even continue to say the following words, but the meaning of the words is self-evident. If so, I'm afraid the purpose of the night is not small. Master. Gaoyu stood up from the stool in a moment of shock, his eyes full of anxiety. Give me orders. Increase search efforts. Be sure to get the young lady back in the shortest time. Yes. Nanganji and Chiyis follow the map all the way to the east. After passing Huasher town and the top of the volcano, they still fly all the way to the east. They are not talkative people, so they seldom stay in the market. Even if they rest, they are still in the wild woods, resting in the trees at will. They finally became the first to approach their destination. Take a break, Nangongi said. The destination is not far ahead. There will be a big war at that time. If you don't have a good rest, I'm afraid you will encounter problems. Chiyi's didn't retort. She nodded quietly and said, well, up to now, there is no more tree in the surrounding environment. Fortunately, both of them have adventure experience, so this time they went out to collect ice soul beads at the top of the desert. Originally thought it was safe, but just at the top of the volcano, there was no reaction between them. They felt that the power of the bead was smaller. I don't know where it is. There is no life here. Chiyi frowned and said, it seems that the power of this ice soul bead is smaller, but we seem to have just come to the edge. If we go on like this, its effect will be smaller and smaller. Nangongi nodded. This place is really strange. What we are looking for is the fire of the alien world, but I have never heard of the name. On the way here, I divined for a while, but nothing came out. Said here, Nangongi's voice paused for a moment, then said, I think we are looking for something may exceed our previous cognitive range. Beyond recognition? Chiyi frowned. What does that mean? Nangongi raised his head, looked at the front and said, the fire of the alien world, just listening to the name, you can guess that it doesn't belong to the upper world, but the thing that can have such a great effect and kill the child can't be the human world. Chiyi's pupils suddenly enlarged. You mean? Nangongi looks at her and nods silently. Before that, they were confident and scheming. At this time, they just felt that they had no bottom in their heart, but they never thought to shrink back. The idea in their hearts is almost the same. If they can't take things back, they will move forward even if they fight for their lives. After the rest time, when night comes, the temperature around seems to be lower, but it is still hot. That kind of heat is not like the sudden heat in the desert, and it seems to come from all directions. Even if the sun has set, it still can't change much. Let's go. Nangongi stood up from the ground and said to Chiyi beside him. While Zishur is approaching, the heat will slow down a little. Maybe there is a better chance to get that thing. Chiyi naturally understood this, otherwise he would not be at ease to stay here for such a long time. At this time, hearing Nangongi's words, he immediately stood up and flew to the depth to gather the fire of the alien world, as the name suggests, is a fire from the alien world. When the two finally reach the edge of the time, and then out will enter the space turbulence. When you move here, you must always be careful of the surrounding environment, especially when dealing with the fire of the alien world. Otherwise, once you enter the space, you will never come back. Look over there. Chiyi saw a strange white flame near the turbulence of the space. Before the turbulence of the gray space, it was very difficult to identify because of the similar colors. Nangongi looked over and saw the legendary fire of the alien world. There is such a thing. I thought I was cheated. I can't believe it really exists. Nangongi said. In fact, he was still praying until the moment before, because he thought too much. The fire of the alien world was just an ordinary fire, which was precious at most. But when he saw it, Nangongi confirmed his previous guess. I'm afraid this fire doesn't belong to the upper world and the human world. How? Chiyi looked at the fire and asked. It's so far away, but it's like the whole person is in the fire. No wonder you have to take the ice bead, otherwise it would have been roasted. Nangongi's eyes looked around for a circle, but didn't see anything, so he said. Knight said there is a guard beast near here. We have been here for so long, but we haven't seen the guard beast's figure. It seems that we are calm. How could the guardian beast have such a high spiritual sense? Chi Knight surprised to get out of the voice. Maybe. Nangongi said. Let's get closer. Maybe he will come out and pay attention to the surrounding conditions. Good. Chi Knight Color ordered to nod. Then directly in South Palace, two people together toward that regiment the fire of the different world moved past. As the distance between them and the fire of the alien world gets closer and closer, Bingpa bead seems to be gone. Sweat comes out one by one from them, wetting their clothes. The hot air seems to steam them. They were silent and didn't say a word. As they approached, they looked at the situation around them, as if they might suddenly attack at any time. Suddenly, just when they finally got close to the fire, a strong wave suddenly appeared in the air. Be careful. Nangongyi drinks it in a low voice, and then turns around quickly. It's almost out of the instinct of adventure for a long time. The sword in his hand is directly in front of his chest. A hot force rushed towards him fiercely. Boom hit on the sword, the huge force directly back him. But in the process of back, Nangongyi still does not forget to protect Chiyi's behind him. Human. The rough voice recalled that it was very abrupt in this lifeless world. Chi Knight in the hands of a long sword, make alert appearance, at any time to prevent the other side to rush. How are you? Chiyi's asked seriously. Nothing. Nangongyi rubbed his chest. This blow is not heavy, no harm. They were sure that there were no other living creatures around them. Then they stood side by side, and watched the white flame in front of them. At this time, a pair of black eyes suddenly appeared in the flame, staring at them like this, looking very strange. You are guardian, Chiyi's asks away. That pair of eyes ignored her question, then said, It's really human. How can you come here? Is that secret known? This words South Palace and Chi Knight color two people one after another lung, look at each other one eye, see in each other's eyes puzzled. Secret? What's the secret? Isn't it? That pair of eyes seemed to be able to peep into people's hearts. Seeing that they were like this, they put away their killing intention. Well, I think so. It's just the human world and the upper world. No one can know that. Let's go. Although I don't know what your purpose is, it's unintentional. Leave here now, and don't disturb me again. That said, the color of those black eyes gradually became lighter, as if to escape into the white flame. Wait! Nangongyi makes a sound at once. Well, black eyes suddenly opened. A powerful pressure released instantly, showing the dissatisfaction and warning to the two people. Nangongyi snorted in an instant, and the corner of his mouth overflowed with blood. Chi Knight vision a cold, snake sword grip in hand, directly toward the white flame attack. Don't think too much of yourself. Black eyes seemed to become more profound, followed by a white flame light fluttering toward her. Chi Knight body twist, unexpectedly dodged that to attack. The snake sword on the hand directly sent out. The black eyes didn't seem to expect that she had such strength, so they shot again. It was a white flame, but the speed was much faster than before. Master, please show mercy, Nangongyi said in an instant. We are from the human world. We have no malice. Chi Knight color body Emil. This pauses under also can't hide to pass. Helplessly looking at that to record to attack toward own chest, but, however, when the attack was close to the front of the body, it suddenly stopped at a distance of only 1 millimeter from the chest, and then dissipated directly. Come back. Nangong Yixing says that Chi Yi's snake sword is horizontal in his hand. He retreats to Nangong Yi's side while guarding against the black eyes. Master, we didn't mean any harm. We just came here to save our friends. Nangong Yi stood up and said to the black eyes. Friends. Yes. Nangong Yi said. She is pregnant in bed now, but her husband doesn't know where she was taken by anyone, and she is always sleeping because of her baby in her stomach. We have got a way to say that only by using the fire of the alien world to kill her baby in her stomach can she wake up. Otherwise she will always sleep deeply and know that all the energy in her body is absorbed. After Nangong Yi said this, his black eyes seemed to hear something terrible. Then he came out of the fire. A black soul body, which looks like an old man, comes to Nangongji's body as soon as it appears. He pulls his collar, and Chi Yi's snake sword will separate them. But just start. That old man then directly impatient of a wave hand, a palm lift her to fly. Chi Knight heavily fell on the ground, and the old man did not look at her. Anxiously asked Nangong Yi. Your friend is a demon? Nangong Yi is stunned. What? I said your friend is a demon? The old man frowned and roared, then murmured as if he thought of something. Impossible. If she is a demon, how can she be sucked up by the baby in her stomach? It's impossible, but if it's not the demons, how can we use the fire of the alien world to save her? The old man's brow just twisted, and at last he was puzzled, but he didn't let go of his hand pulling Nangong Yi's collar. Is she pregnant with a demon child? Think of here, the old pupil suddenly tightening. Children of the demons. No wonder you have to use the fire of the alien world to kill them. Is it hard for you to make all your efforts in vain? Why does this happen? Nangong-yi heard some words from the old man's words, and he was already extremely shocked. Old man! Chi-Yi stood up, clenched the snake sword in his hand, pointed to the old man and said, "You let him go." The old man turned to look at Chi-Yi's and said coldly, "You are normal human beings, but I didn't expect to recognize such a friend." "What are you talking about?" Chi-Yi's eyes are icy cold. "If you say that again, I'll cut off your tongue." "Cut it off," the old man said with a sneer. "If I don't kill you, you should be grateful." Later he didn't care about Chi-Yi's. Instead he frowned and looked at Nangong-yi. "Your constitution is quite bright. How can you recognize such a friend? Is it hard to be cheated?" Nangong-yi is not happy. In their hearts, friends are far more important than themselves. They may not be angry when they are insulted, but once someone insults their friends, they are enemies. Don't be upset. I'll take care of this matter," the old man said, and then he threw Nangong-yi aside and looked at the flame. Then it seemed that he was thinking about something. As soon as he lifted his hand, a red rabbit appeared in front of him. It was also a soul body, but the old man didn't see the call array flashing when he started. Otherwise, Nangong-yi would think that the old man was a summoner. "You watch here. I'm going to leave." The rabbit seemed to be able to understand people's words in general, and then directly jumped into the group of white flames, which was obviously extremely hot, and could not cause any harm to him. "Let's go," the old man said. "Take me to meet your so-called friend." Nangong-yi, two people look at each other. Take him? It doesn't look like he has any good intentions, and their purpose of coming here has not been achieved. How can they just leave? Well, what? You don't want to? To tell you the truth, I'm afraid the child in your friend's stomach should not come to this world, and take me to have a look. If I guess correctly, I will help you kill the child. Maybe I can mercifully save your friend. If you don't want to, I will leave you here with me. At that time, I'll see that you took the fire of the alien world, or your friend will be sucked first. This words Chi-night color two people simply bite teeth, turn round and then take the old man toward the direction when coming. The town of Flint is full of people. Nangong-yi and Chi-Yi's walk side by side, but the old man doesn't know what method he used to disappear. But the two of them could clearly feel that the old man was behind them. It seemed that they were being watched, which was very uncomfortable. Well, have you heard? There's something wrong with Yunwu who killed the beast gate before. In the discussion of the street, suddenly came the word cloud dance. Of course I heard. It said that something happened the day before I got married. Alas, it's really evil. Such a good man should have met such a thing. He is really envious of the talent. I'm not talking about that. It said that now she's in trouble again, said the man who took the lead. Nangong-yi and Chi-Yi's steps, regardless of the eyes behind them, go directly to the people who are talking and act as onlookers. Ah, what happened again? What's the matter? Isn't she in a coma? How could anything happen? Isn't Yunwu always in a coma because of what happened before the wedding? Later, a mysterious man came to Yun's home and said how to save her. But it seemed that he needed some rare things. You think it's hard to save Yunwu. So many friends of Yun's family went out to look for things. As a result, most of the experts of Yun's family left. It said that they went to find medicine, but who knows, just 2 days later, the mysterious man turned away from Yunwu directly. Whoosh dash whoosh. A snake sword flew out in a flash. It could wipe the face of the man who was talking, and it flew directly into the wall. Chi-Yi's figure moved. When he reappeared, he went directly to the man's side. He grabbed his collar and said coldly, "What did you say just now? Repeat what you just said." The man trembled all over. He didn't expect that someone would dare to fight in the street. What's more, the man in front of him seemed so powerful that he didn't dare move. Say it. Chi-Yi's cheers coldly again. The man swallowed hard, and then trembled and said, "I said the cloud dance, now something happened again." Nangong-yi stands behind and clenches his fists. He knows that Qi Yi's can't do it well, but even he wants to rush up directly. How can he stop it? Yinwu was taken away? Now both the human world and the upper world have been invited by the Cloud family to help find Yunwu and the mysterious person dressed in black. No matter what method is used, if you can find them, you will get a large reward. A lot of people are eager to try, and even in order to get a reward to see people wearing black clothes sent to the past. Now people dare not even wear black clothes, for fear of being taken as that person, but up to now, they still have no whereabouts. The man carefully said that he didn't know how he provoked the person in front of him, but he was treated like this. Just when he was worried about what the person would do next, Qi Yi's released his hand directly. The next moment, he and another man directly disappeared in front of him. "Hi, Master." On one side, someone said in shock. "Well, why did those two look so familiar just now?" A man who once talked about Cloud Dance said, "Ah, I got it. Aren't they friends of Yunwu?" "What?" Qi Yi's and Nangong Yi are silent all the way, flying towards the transmission array leading to the human world. "You two stop." The old man's voice sounded behind him, but they didn't stop at all. Now they are full of the news they heard. As for the rest, it doesn't matter, even if they annoy the old man behind them. Disobedient? The old man seemed to be a little annoyed. With a wave of his hand, two powerful energies rushed directly towards the two people in front of him. Qi Yi's quickly dodged to both sides, but I don't know if the old man was really angry. This attack was so fast that they didn't escape. Boom dash! Two figures directly hit the tree in front, and then fell on the ground. The old man showed his figure and fell in front of them. He asked in a cold voice, "I ask you, the Cloud Dance that the man said is your friend?" Along the way, the old man has heard almost all of them, but the attitude of these two people really makes him feel aggrieved. He is a master of his own. If his name is reported, the whole world will be a sensation for him. But these two young people don't even pay attention to him? Haha. Nangong Yi wiped off the blood from the corner of his mouth, lowered his head and sneered. A touch of madness flashed in his calm eyes. "Yes, it's her. Aren't you going to have a look? Now that she's gone, you're still standing in our way. If you don't hurry back, I'm afraid something unexpected will happen again." Up to now, Nangong Yi is not willing to endure anymore. What he wants in his heart is to go back immediately. The old man's eyes are wide open, and another energy is directly fighting toward Nangong Yi. "Don't think I dare not kill you. How dare you speak to me in such a tone?" Nangong Yi is attacked again. These two attacks have no mercy at all. Now he doesn't even have the strength to get up. But even so, he remains silent. Qi Yi's on one side is very anxious. She wants to go back while worrying about Nangong Yi's injury. However, she can't move after the previous blow and is numb all over. Facing the old man in front of them, they didn't have the strength to fight back, but even so, they were still not afraid. If the old people want to kill them, I'm afraid they will be here today. The old man was silent and didn't know what he was thinking. After a long time, he looked up at the distance and murmured, "Is it going to change?" Words are too low. Nangong Yi two people didn't hear what he said. Then the old man looked down at them and said coldly, "You are the best. When you get to the human world, I'm afraid the girl won't be able to find it again. The weak is the trouble." After that, the old man went straight forward and grabbed one person in one hand. Then with a flash of light, the figure of three people disappeared. People Cloud family. The old man with a collar directly fell on the door of the Cloud family. As soon as the three figures appeared, the guards of the Cloud family immediately surrounded him. When they saw that Nangong and Nangong were in his hands, they were like enemies. There are too many things that have happened to the Cloud family recently, so they have to strengthen their defense. The old man's eyes swept around the bodyguards, made a scornful cold hum, and then directly threw them on the ground. Looking at a place, the old man could not help frowning. This force. Nangong Yi and Qi Yi's have been shocked for a long time, but they didn't expect that the old man was so fierce and crossed the space to the human world with a very fast speed. And then they didn't have to show us the way. They came here directly. Such a long way. His speed is almost as fast as the upload and send array. What kind of power is this? Is it a magic weapon? Then he saw that the old man was always staring in one direction. Chi Yi's was just curious, but Nangongyi suddenly said, "This is where the mysterious power appeared that day." Then he took the man away. Xiaowu rushed up, but the strength of Wuling realm was useless at all. Finally, he was attacked by the enemy and was unconscious. The old man narrowed his eyes slightly. Wuling realm is not weak. It's just that I want to fight against it with this realm, but I still can't do it. As soon as the old man's words were finished, they looked at each other. It seems that the old man really knows something. Who dare to make trouble in front of my cloud house? A full voice came. And then he saw Yunqi rushing out with a team whose strength was above the Wuzong realm. General Yunda, don't be impulsive. Nangongyi makes a sound and stops those people from rushing. Nangongyi. Yunqi looks at the visitor in surprise and just wants to ask him how he came back. But all of a sudden, a very powerful breath appeared in an instant. With that breath coming is a burst of hearty laughter. Ha 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 ha, I said. My brother, if you don't guard your fire well, how can you come here? It's faster than me. The voice is extremely bold and unconstrained. Just a word will let people feel that the voice of the master is not vulgar. Then 3 figures fell down. Shengguan. Mu Xiaoming. Nangongyi and Mu Xiaoming see that the two of them are Shengguan and Mu Xiaoming. Then they immediately guess the identity of the old man who is coming. They are afraid that they are the same as the old man on their side. I just don't know why they can all come here. Is this little dance really tricky? You're here too? The old man who followed Nangongyi looked at the newcomer and said, "If this happens, I will come to see it. Don't say it's me. I'm afraid the 2 people from the south and the north will come, too. We haven't seen each other for many years. I didn't expect that we got together again because of this." The conversation between the 2 old people makes people understand a little. It seems that there are 4 of them, distributed in the 4 directions of east, west, north and south. This time, there are 2 of them. I'm afraid the rest of them will come here again. Mu Xiaoming runs to Yunqi and tells him the origin of the old man. Yunqi's eyes change from shock to silence. General Yun, these 2 people are very powerful. Let them live in Yunfu. Maybe they can know where Long Qingxie has gone, or how to find Xiaowu. Mu Xiaoming suggested. Yunqi raises his hand and touches his chin. He regrets what happened the night before. Now 2 strangers make Yunqi think of the night again. But what Mu Xiaoming said is reasonable. After a while, Yunqi finally made a decision. Okay, let's invite them to stay. After that, he immediately sent someone to arrange the room and walked towards the 2 old men. Now it's on a mountain in fairyland. On the smoky mountain range, the clouds are dancing and the immortal spirit is overflowing. At the end of the mountain range, there stands a very lofty mansion. The mansion is so big that it takes up half of the mountain, and the top of the mountain is immersed in a white fog, which makes the whole mansion more majestic and majestic. The whole mountain seems to be their place. Countless people in white robes are very comfortable walking in the mountains. The vast white clouds from the top of the mountain, half of the mountain will be shrouded. The trees and houses will be looming out, feeling as if floating in the air. Pavilions, carved beams and painted buildings make the whole residence immersed in a beautiful landscape like a dream. The waterfall flying down from the hillside is a piece of cool water vapor. In the river below the waterfall, some people are playing by the river, and some people are drawing water. It is a paradise. In the middle of the mansion there are also simple and elegant rooms, small bridges, flowing water, and winding rivers flowing on the road, just like a small town. Countless houses are uneven, but they are very elegant, which makes people have a kind of poetic gentle beauty. By the mountain and by the water, white fog poured down from the top of the mountain, but it just came into the yard. In a quiet and uninhabited room, simple beds and furnishings, light white curtains, simple teacups, tables and chairs, sandalwood is burning in the room, sending out fragrance. A silent Long Qingxie is sleeping quietly, his eyes are closed tightly, his eyelashes are drawing a shadow on his face. He looks very pale, but it doesn't seem to matter. Yes, he is Dragon Qingxie, the Dragon Qingxie who was suddenly engulfed and disappeared by the black light column, but now suddenly appeared here, and he came here as not 1 or 2 days, but how long? Long Qingxia said he has been in a mess. Long Qingxia's complexion was much better than when he was engulfed by the black light column at that time. It was obvious that the injury had been alleviated, but he didn't open his eyes all the time. He was dressed in clean clothes, and his clean quilt was also fragrant. Strands of black hair were scattered on his head, and several wounds and the cyanosis on his face made him look very charming and beautiful. The faint black fog around him made him look strange, and he was becoming thinner and thinner. His face was haggard and pale, and his whole body was thinner. When he wakes up again, Long Qingxia breathes in his heart. He always falls into sleep without his control. When he wakes up again, he just wakes up. But every time he tries to open his eyes, he can't open them. It seems that there is some force pulling him. He is conscious, but he can't control his body. This feeling of powerlessness made him very distressed and angry. If someone wanted to kill him at this time, he could not resist. In the whole building, there is always an invisible pressure, which makes Dragon Qingxia feel suffocated. The invisible pressure comes from all the people around him. He has a concept of this place in his mind. The lowest level here is very powerful, and the realm is excellent. But he had nothing to do. Every day, he could feel that someone came in to take care of him, someone put water into his mouth, and he could also know that every day someone would walk through the window, and some people would still stand in the window and talk about it. He didn't know why, but he couldn't wake up. And such a situation has been for a long time. Every time when they restore consciousness, can only feel a vast expanse of nothingness. However, when he wanted to open his eyes and look at the present situation, he found that it was very difficult to open his eyes and move his body. It was as if he was trapped in consciousness and separated from his body. During this period, there are a group of people who often appear in the room where he lives. They are scattered around the bed and whispering. They don't know what they are talking about. But Long Qingxia can always feel an extremely powerful pressure and linger on them. Long Qingxia knew that the realm of these people must be higher than himself. Because he couldn't feel the state and ability of these people, he was even more surprised. Who are these people? Why did you catch yourself here? What kind of place is this? Just catching one person. Why do you have to work so hard to hurt so many people? But these questions have not been answered since he came to this place, because he can't speak at all. He breathed in his heart. The situation has been almost clear for such a long time. It seems that these people do not pose a threat to his life. It seems that they are trying to do something to themselves. Every day, he was observing and discussing, so every day, the feeling in his body was almost the same. First, there was an abnormal energy fluctuation, and then he lost consciousness and went into nothingness. He was not nervous, so he had to give up struggling and trying to open his eyes, and quietly let himself lie in a comfortable and soft bed. I don't know how long I've been here, but Long Qingxia can feel the slow growth of black energy in his body every day. He is very helpless about his situation, and doesn't know what makes his body change so much. I don't know what's the situation of Yunwu now. What's the situation of other people? Is Yunfu a mess now? What's going on in the human world? This time the occurrence of things caught people off guard. It took a month for Long Qingxia to figure out what it was. Since that day, he was engulfed by the black light column. The last scene he saw in the light column was that everyone was knocked down by the light column and spat blood. And Cloud Dance, let him heartache more. She is full of scars, vomit blood already crumbling. However, she rushed to the black light column again and again, blaming herself for not protecting the little guy and making her afraid for herself. However, until now, she didn't know where she was and how long she left. I've been awake in a coma. I've been in a coma. I've been tossing and turning, but I can't open my eyes all the time. I want to see what kind of place it is and what kind of people are around me. I suddenly feel my weakness and insignificance for a moment. But he can obviously feel that the energy here is very abundant. If he practices here, he may break through soon. So what he expects now is that he can open his eyes and move as soon as possible. Then he can adjust his breath and heal as soon as possible. And then go to find Yunwu. However, if it is not because his body has no way to absorb energy, then now he will get up and sit with his knees crossed, dominating all the energy here for himself. So when he was sober, he began to look inside his body and swam away the channels in his body. Before, the channels were damaged because of the phagocytosis of the black light column, but now he has almost recovered. But Dragon Qingxia also found that the dark energy in his body seems to be more and more strong. Compared with yesterday, the strength in his body has increased significantly, and the growth is also very strange. At this time, he was very curious about what the hell this place was, and how could it make such a strange change. This place must not be simple. Suddenly, a sound of footsteps came in from the outside. It's easy to hear that there are about 5 or 6 people in the voice, which makes Long Qingxia nervous, but he can't help thinking that the group of people are coming again. It has been several times in such a long time. When this group of people came to him, Long Qingxia could vaguely hear some information about the human world, which made Long Qingxia more anxious. They must know something, but they seemed to speak very carefully, for fear that something might be known to Long Qingxia. So Long Qingxia could not hear anything clearly. What he wants to do now is to open his eyes and ask, "What's the situation with Yunwu and Shangguan? Who are you? Why are you arresting me?" However, he could not open his eyes or open his mouth to ask. Only a few people came in from the gate. They were all in white robes. They were young, but they looked very serious. One by one, they went to the bedside of Long Qingxia. Some people felt the pulse of Long Qingxia. Some people looked at Long Qingxia's eyes. Looking at Long Qingxia, they frowned and looked down at Long Qingxia as if they were "I was thinking about something." And then several people turned their heads to discuss something. Long Qingxia is full of vigilance. Although he can't act now, he vaguely feels that they have surrounded him. And what are they talking about? This makes Long Qingxia unable to hear clearly at all, so Long Qingxia focuses on what these people are saying, but after all, it's still intermittent words, which makes Long Qingxia a little depressed. Suddenly, not far away from the dragon, there was a man and another man whispering something in a low voice. Among them, Long Qingxia clearly heard some words about cloud dance and human world, which made him very curious. Intermittent dialogue, "You say a word, I say a word," came from the surrounding population. Originally nothing but the name of cloud dance suddenly appeared from several people's mouth, but let Dragon Qingxia heart shocked. Suddenly heart beat faster. The energy in the body suddenly fluctuated. The people who had been standing beside Long Qingxia and talking about it carefully, when they felt the weak energy fluctuation, were suddenly shocked. Is this the energy wave coming from him? It seems that's the only possibility, but it's impossible. One after another, several people gathered around and looked at the dragon in surprise, frowning. What's the matter with this man? He is clearly undergoing evolution. How can there be energy fluctuations? Isn't he in a coma now? Can he hear us now? Is this person still conscious? A person looking at the people around, very worried. This situation is really the first time to see. What are we going to do now? Someone asked. What can we do? Let's solve this problem first. Let him fall asleep and lose consciousness, and then go to the elder for help. One said. Then everyone nodded. Then everyone went forward, surrounded the dragon in the center, and closed their eyes. The secret way in Long Qingxia's heart is not good. He just wants to pour out a fighting spirit from his body to stop these people, but he only feels that a few forces suddenly rush into his body from all directions, making him even more motionless. He was in a hurry to stop, but suddenly he heard someone say, "This man is still fighting, my God, he is not a man." Then more violent energy suddenly poured into his body, and then his mind suddenly went blank. Long Qingxia felt that his breathing was a little difficult. He gradually felt that his consciousness pulled away from his body, and finally he didn't know anything. Come on, let's go and tell the elder. How strange this man is. Some people said that they all took credit, and looked very anxious. Then several people went to the door. Some people also turned to confirm the dragon's evil situation. This really turned to leave the room, footsteps in a hurry. This kind of situation is really hard to see. This person's willpower is too strong. I don't know why the Presbyterian Council arranged for us to train this man. There was a lot of discussion, but we didn't see that the dragon on the bed suddenly frowned. Several people rushed out of the house and ran along the path in front of them. In front of Ruada's cloister, I ran for a long time, but I didn't run to the end. After a long time, in the smoke, several people came to the gate of the largest mansion in the building. Among the lush trees in the deep of the mansion, the verdant green reflects the huge skyrocketing buildings, which are like fairyland. After taking a deep breath, they carefully arranged their clothes and hair crowns. Then they quickened their pace and walked in, looking very respectful. As soon as he got to the front of the stairs, he was stopped by the man at the door. The man looked down at the white robes that several people were wearing, and then raised his head to restore his indifference. "What's the matter with you?" The gatekeepers were two very childish children. They were dressed in white and looked straight in front of them. They didn't have any emotional fluctuation, and were very indifferent. But these people didn't dare to neglect them at all. They quickly bowed down and said, "Please tell the elder that we have something to ask. It's about the dragon's evil spirit." "Yes, please wait here for a moment." A man turned and walked into the hall. There was a long ladder in front of the hall. It seems that the steps can't reach the end at a glance, but they go straight to the entrance of the hall. Although the doorman seems to walk slowly, but in a twinkling of an eye, it has been far away. In a twinkling of an eye, it has entered the main entrance of the hall. These people were not surprised at all. They lowered their heads, hugged their hands and stood quietly waiting. The other doorman stood there motionless and expressionless. After a long time, the child finally came back. The white figure slowly came down the stairs and came to the door. Without looking at a few people, he turned over and let out the road behind him. A few people expressed their thanks in a hurry, and then run in a hurry. The steps are long and upward, and the skill of a few people is very good. They will have reached the gate of the hall without any effort. At the gate of the main hall, several people and the guards at the gate explained the situation, and were finally invited in. The main hall is very open. Countless white-robed people are standing around and talking in a low voice. The old man sitting in the middle is closing his eyes and motionless. "Elder." A few people have not come to the door of the hall. They have been anxious to shout up, immediately attracted everyone to turn their heads to wait and see. "Elder, we have come to you for advice." One of them came forward and knelt on the ground. "Elder, in the process of evolution, the dragon can still have consciousness and fight against it. Although his resistance can't become anything, it really surprised us at the same time," all the people in the hall exclaimed. "It's really hard to see such a situation." "Yes, if it's really according to what they say, then this person is terrible. I really want to see what kind of person can be such a strong existence." On the stairs, the old man finally gradually opened his eyes, nodded at several people, and let them enter the hall. Several people bowed to salute in a hurry. Then they walked into the hall with their heads down. On the steps, they saw an old man sitting there with white hair, white beard and white robe. He quietly closed his eyes, did not look at these people, but suddenly opened his mouth. The voice is light, slow. "In the end, what's the matter? You tell me carefully, don't panic." "Elder, we found that even if we wash the dragon's evil body, he is still conscious. He can also produce energy fluctuations. We are afraid." "Don't be afraid." The elder finally opened his eyes and frowned deeply. "But this man's will seems to be very strong." He got up from his seat and walked slowly down the stairs with his hands on his back and his clothes and hair calm. What a curious person. After a long time, the elder sighed, shook his sleeve and said, "Take me to see him." With these words, those people didn't dare to neglect, so they quickly made way for the elder to go first. People on both sides of the road bowed and watched the elder walk out of the hall. A few people take the elder to walk all the way. A few people accompany the elder to the room of Long Qingxia. Dragon Qingxia is still lying there quietly, breathing steadily. The elder stepped forward and looked at it carefully. Then he frowned. "You say, is he still conscious? Can you still hear us?" "Yes, elder, he can still hear us now. Even though we have increased our training, his consciousness seems to be particularly strong." One of them said to the elder, worried, "How is this man now?" The elder went forward and carefully examined the sleeping dragon Qingxia. "Tell the elder that he has fallen into a deep sleep because we have strengthened our training, but I think he will wake up all the time." next to a white-robed man respectfully said. The elder walked forward and looked down at the dragon. Finally, he nodded and got up straight, lost in thought. Elder, just because of his dark constitution and the bright constitution of the cloud dance of the sorcerer clan, we are thinking about whether we need to eliminate the memory of dragon's evil spirit in the process of evolution, so as to help him break away from the world, please the cloud dance, and really integrate into the fairyland. One of them said that all the people in the temple were silent. But all of a sudden, a strange wave came out of the dragon on the bed. All of a sudden, everyone was shocked and turned to see it. Dragon Qingxia frowned slightly and looked very unhappy. Although he was sleeping, there was a faint murderous air all over his body, which made everyone's mouth open. Obviously, he may have heard us talk about the cloud dance, and he said that he had to lose his memory. Said a man in white. The elder frowned and nodded. He bowed his head and pondered for a moment. Then he said, continue to increase the strength of training, and make him completely sleepy. Yes, elder. Those people nodded and said yes one after another, then stood beside the dragon and closed their eyes. Not long after, a few people's hands at the same time sent out a light ray. Pure fighting spirit instantly poured into the dragon's body. Then the dragon will never move again. Finally, the wave of wandering in the dragon's evil body gradually disappeared. This made everyone around breathe out. Even the elder's brows were stretched out. On the other side, at this time in the dark, the huge black stone still exudes the piercing cold, lying on the boulder, chest up and down, but no other movement. It's been a long time since the baby was born. Originally, she was pregnant in October, but Yunwu felt that the time might have passed, because now the baby's body is too big. Yunwu is lying on the boulder pale, haggard with deep eye socket. If he is not still breathing, people will feel whether he is dead or not. She took a deep breath and felt that her body was close to death. Even her eyes were sour. She didn't eat for a long time. She felt that everything in front of her was floating, and sometimes the sky was still spinning. For such a long time, Yunwu, because of this child's business, has been suffering from food and tea, and her eyes are dull. However, the child in her stomach is still absorbing the dark energy, and is slowly growing bigger. Her stomach is getting bigger and bigger. Her huge stomach almost broke her clothes. All the blood vessels are winding on her belly, and her belly is almost transparent, as if it can be seen. I saw the baby in my stomach. Not only that, the child kicks in her stomach all day. Yunwu was breathing and moving hard, and she felt as if her consciousness was about to pull away. These days she has nothing to eat, only drink a little water every day, close to the previous better physical fitness, can be dying to survive. Such a large stomach clearly has exceeded the level of ordinary pregnant women to give birth. However, Yunwu still didn't feel like giving birth. She couldn't help laughing bitterly. It was clear that she had eaten the evil fruit. But now that she had reached this level, she had to say that the child was born anyway. She moved hard for a while, already cold sweat, pale face, more and more difficult. It is likely that next his stomach will be burst by the child. Yunwu feels that the child in her stomach is gradually absorbing her own energy, which is obviously exhausted. She wants to call the contract beast, but she finds that the contract beast doesn't know when to be cut off, and can't be contacted in any case. At this time, she found that she had put herself in a dilemma. But the child in the belly, but a little bit of absorption of energy and grow up. Yunwu is lying on the stone. At this time, she can't feel the cold, and her clothes are a little shabby. She just lies on the stone quietly, her eyes are confused. She opens her mouth and shows a satisfied smile. Anyway, the baby in her stomach is still growing up, which is enough. When the maid went into the dark place again, her steps were already shrinking, because she couldn't bear to see the cloud dancing. It was like a skeleton. Her eyes were blank, her eyes were deep, her lips were pale. It was obvious that she was about to die. Her whole body was skinny. But even so, she didn't seem to want to give up the child. She felt like she was going to die. After taking care of Yunwu for such a long time, she can't help but feel distressed when she sees everything in the woman's eyes. Eat, girl. The maid cried carefully. She was afraid that a little loud voice would disturb Yunwu, and then frightened her. She put the food box on the ground. Yunwu didn't speak. She just lay on the stone, shook her head and closed her eyes. She couldn't eat for so many days. Yunwu didn't believe that she could eat now. The maid sighed, took out the water from the food box, went to Yunwu's side, helped her drink, and then took away the food. Day after day, I don't know how long it has been. Yunwu has been in this state. It can't eat anything, and the water is just a few mouthfuls. Night has been quietly around the clouds. Careful observation. This woman's tenacity and willpower is simply incomparable to ordinary people. If you change into ordinary people, I'm afraid there is no way to bear such pain. Such a woman, give people the feeling is really terrible. The corners of the mouth with a faint smile. Tut-tut praised twice, and then disappeared. But Yunwu has been concentrating on raising the baby. She didn't find that night. She was so weak that she couldn't move. She raised her hand slightly. When she saw her hand as dry as grass, she gave a wry smile and touched her stomach. Her stomach is hard, and there is a growing trend. She frowns tightly, but she always has a very bad feeling in her heart. The child in his stomach seems to feel the touch of Yunwu, and suddenly moves. However, the fat body moves in Yunwu's body, which makes Yunwu pale and suffocated by the fat baby. She bit her lips and did not let herself make any sound. She just let the fat baby in her body move in her body, as if she were very happy. The fetal activity is more and more frequent, and his huge body moves in Yunwu's stomach, which makes Yunwu's daily suffering worse and weaker, and the baby seems to be unwilling to let Yunwu go, and still sucking the life energy in her body crazily. Is still in the dark place, but Yunwu's body has become incomparable fragile. She closed her eyes, seems to have given up resistance, let the baby in the body wantonly eating. During this period, she has been trying to explore her body with fighting spirit, but she can't find any feeling of the baby, nor can she explore any lifeblood. He breathed and had to give up. Girl. The maid came to the land of darkness again. After such a long time, there is only this maidservant who feels dependent on Yunwu. Every day, she will conscientiously bring a lot of food and take good care of Yunwu, so that Yunwu will not starve to death. Here you are. Cloud Dance has collapsed. The voice is even smaller than the voice of mosquitoes. She laughed, a very sad smile. Try again today. Can I have some dinner? The maidservant put the food in front of Yunwu, took the bowl and sent it to Yunwu's mouth. You try, although it's a little uncomfortable, but if you really eat it, it's good for the children. Yunwu sighed. His face had turned pale and gray. The maid put the spoon close to her mouth. For the first time in so many days, Yunwu opened her mouth, ate the rice into her mouth and swallowed it. Although she was still miserable, she finally felt less disgusting. She swallowed hard. Her maid was very surprised. She quickly came forward and handed her the water to drink. Then she took a mouthful of rice and fed it to her mouth. Cloud Dance can't help but smile bitterly. The eyes looking at the maid are full of gratitude. The voice is too small to hear clearly, said 2 words. The maid was confused, so she stepped forward and listened carefully. Anyway, thank you for taking care of me. Otherwise I might have died long ago. Cloud Dance said with a bitter smile. But the maid shook her head and said with a smile. I really think that a mother can be so kind, for the sake of her children. She can make herself like this. But Cloud Dance in the heart but very helpless wry smile voice. This maidservant certainly don't know what happened to me. Night certainly didn't tell her. Had to sigh, shake head and don't speak. Why don't you get up and have a try? If you eat it, isn't it a happy thing for everyone? Yunwu thought it was the same, so she opened her mouth and took out the food from her food box. It was very light, only porridge and vegetables. Finally, after so many days of Cloud Dance, I had my first meal. The maid almost cried with joy and felt happy for Yunwu. The tumbling in her stomach was not so serious, but after a long time of not eating, she suddenly had more food in her stomach, which was very painful. Her face was cold and sweaty, and she couldn't help curling up. But her huge stomach made her helpless. The maid hurried forward and looked at Yunwu at a loss. She didn't know what she was going to do next, so she had to comfort her. It's a good thing to be able to eat. Don't worry. Tomorrow may be better. The maid said anxiously. Yunwu nodded and didn't want to talk at all. The maid filled her with a bowl of water and slowly fed her to drink. Then she picked up her things and left. Curled up on the boulder for a long time, the feeling of digesting food in her stomach made the clouds dance in cold sweat. She clenched her teeth and her eyes were full of pain. The fat baby seemed to feel her pain, and the dancing became more intense. Finally, Yunwoo, who had been tortured, couldn't help crying out. Her eyes were full of tears, but she bit her teeth to keep the tears from flowing down. It wasn't until after a long time that Yunwoo finally vomited. She felt that the pain in her stomach had been alleviated. Her cold sweat made her feel that her whole body was soaked with sweat. She was paralyzed on the stone for a long time and didn't respond. The sweat was blown by the cold wind in the dark place, and it was cold again. Yunwoo vomited. He didn't know whether it was the feeling in his heart or the function of food. With a little strength, he was suddenly upset. I don't know where Long Qingxie is, where Shangguan are, and what happened to Yunfu. Now, is there any meaning in my persistence and struggle? She lay on the boulder, closed her eyes, and again tried to explore the child in her stomach. She never gave up every day. Over and over again, she just wanted to see how magical the child was. Cloud Dance is still trying to see the situation of his stomach. After swimming the fighting spirit around, he suddenly finds that his fighting spirit can actually see the situation in his stomach. A burst of excitement in my heart. I rushed to pour all the fighting spirit into my stomach. Suddenly, in the blurred vision, a chubby baby appeared in the middle of his stomach. The baby's body size was beyond the size of the baby in labor. The big one seemed to be a child of 1 or 2 years old. At this time, he shrank in his own stomach. Obviously, he was very wronged. This small place could not hold him anymore. At this time, he seemed to be angry at any time. I'm going to burst my stomach everywhere. Yunwoo's stomach was propped up by him. He felt that it was about to explode, but he continued to move uneasily. The dark smell from his whole body made Yunwoo frown. The feeling of this child is really uncomfortable. With a sigh in her heart, she was thinking, why does this child only absorb the energy of darkness, but not the energy of light? It is clear that the dragon and himself are 2 different systems. Does this child only inherit the system of dragon? All of a sudden, Yunwoo felt the strong breath of life from the fat baby, which surprised her very much. She could finally feel the baby. However, she could not help frowning, because at this time, she suddenly felt that the person who released the breath of life was not just the fat baby. In her feeling, it seems that there are 2 at the same time in her stomach. She slowly swam the fighting spirit all over her stomach. In the dark environment of her stomach, Yunwoo searched among them. She was very curious. Who was this other breath of life coming from? Suddenly, the fighting spirit of Cloud Dance wants to touch with that breath. All of a sudden, Yunwoo felt that the breath was in front of her, and hastened to make the fighting spirit close to the breath. But what she saw next made her heart sink suddenly, and her mind almost fainted with a buzzing sound, because she saw under the fat baby in a small corner, a small, weak, smoking baby curled up there. It seemed that his body size was not as big as that of the fat baby. Moreover, he has shortness of breath, unstable heartbeat, and nearly transparent skin. Obviously, he is very weak and malnourished. This little baby has been pushed out by fat baby for a long time, and can't get nutrients at all. Yunwoo looked closer, only to find that the breath of light emitted by the baby was clear, and the baby actually absorbed the power of light. That is to say, the 2 constitutions of 1 light and 1 dark existed in the 2 babies. But now in the dark, the baby with light constitution has no energy to absorb, and the crazy growth of the baby with dark constitution has created today's situation. The baby with light constitution almost died in her abdomen, and she is very weak. If she doesn't absorb energy as soon as possible, I'm afraid she will die in her stomach. Cloud Dance gently will fight around the child. The child seems to feel the mother's care in general, suddenly moved twice, clearly clenched small fist, suddenly opened, toward the direction of fighting, slowly opened his arm. He wanted to ask for a hug. Cloud Dance in the heart of a warm, but a burst of sadness. How could this child be treated like this? I can't help blaming myself. If I could see the situation in my stomach earlier, I wouldn't be concerned about the child's growth. Now think about it. The reason why I am so sad and painful is that the child with light constitution has not absorbed his own energy. Therefore, his body has been eroded by the dark energy step by step, so he is so weak now. After thinking about the cause and effect, Yunwu suddenly froze. Because she suddenly remembered what Ye said at that time. The child in her stomach needs to absorb the dark energy to thrive. In other words, Ye clearly knows the specific situation of this child, but he did not say that he has another child in his stomach. Yunwu's heart suddenly burst into anger, which made her gnash her teeth angrily. This night, since we can see the situation in her stomach, how can we not see it? In fact, there are 2 children in her stomach. What's his peace of mind? Will only one of the children absorb energy and not supply it to the other child? And want to raise the baby of dark constitution? And kill the baby of light constitution? What is his intention? He clenched his fists gradually, took back his fighting spirit slowly, opened his eyes and gritted his teeth. This night, I really don't know what his mind is thinking. Is this person a good person or a bad person? Is he on his side or on another unknown opposite? To think about it, those who capture the dragon's evil spirit are the people who are at odds with themselves. In the dark, the angry cloud dance finally forced herself to calm down, and pressed her anger to the bottom of her heart, which made her dizzy and more uncomfortable. At this time, she was very weak. If she had any conflict with the night people here, it might be very bad for her. What's more, it's the night's territory. We can't scare the snake at this time. What's more, Night doesn't intend to let her know that she has 2 children in her stomach, which must have some purpose. So now I can only do everything I can to hide my child's situation, and then find a time to leave here quietly, which is the most important thing. Obviously, the maid was watching her under the banner of delivering food every day. And Night, for such a long time, has not seen the night. Cloud Dance does not know what is going on, but in the dark, Cloud Dance feels that the purpose of night is not simple. Moreover, perhaps it is because of this child that his body is becoming thinner and weaker. Perhaps, when a child with bright constitution grows up, she will not lose both of them. In the cold and dark place, every day is full of depression and pain. But now the Cloud Dance suddenly has a general motivation and strong spirit. Yunwu forced himself to sit up from the boulder, supported his huge stomach, folded his legs, closed his eyes, and put the fighting spirit in his body back into operation. This time, it was different from usual, because at this time, a strong desire for survival rose in Yunwu's heart, for himself and his children. The maid came to deliver the meal again. When she came into the dark place with her food box, she just saw the Cloud dancing, which was weak and could not move. She was sitting on the boulder and was quiet. Although she was so weak, she was still afraid of the pressure from her body. She stepped back, stepped on the stone and nearly fell down. She could not help but exclaimed. Cloud Dance opened her eyes and said, "Are you here?" At this time, the feeling of the whole body of Yunwu is different from that in the past. In ordinary days, Yunwu is weak and can't open her eyes. Today, I don't know why it just looks tired. Although Cloud Dance still looks so thin and weak, but obviously the breath has been strong a lot. The maid stepped back and swallowed. "Miss Yunwu?" She carefully looked at Yunwu. "You feel better recently?" "Well, it's better. Thanks to your care these days." Yunwu lowers his head and smiles, walks down from the huge stone and sits next to it. The maid still put the food in front of Yunwu. "Yunwu girl, you look good today. You'd better try to eat some." Yunwu smiles, walks down the boulder, and takes the chopsticks. The maid quietly gives Yunwu food and water. Yunwu sits beside the stone and looks at the busy maid with great interest. The maid seemed to feel Yunwu's eyes. She raised her head timidly and looked at Yunwu. Then she quickly lowered her head and continued to pack. Yunwu thinks it's funny. It's like this person is exposing something in front of him. He's afraid of his hands and feet. "Are you the man of the night?" Yunwu leaned against the boulder and asked suddenly. Smelling the taste of food, her stomach surged, but she bit her teeth, reached for chopsticks, and tried to eat the dishes on the plate. The maid was a little flustered. She lowered her head and nodded. "It's the adult who asked me to take care of you. The adult said that if I can't take care of Yunwu girl well, it will kill me." "What time is it outside now?" Cloud Dance filled the bowl of porridge, took a sip and took a deep breath. What about the night? Why don't you come? Miss Cloud Dance, the night master has a lot of time to do and has no time to see you every day. Please don't blame the night master. The maid seemed very flustered. It's night outside now. So did the night say anything about me? Cloud Dance said, and then a spoonful of porridge to drink, a red eye, swallowing saliva, stomach down the river, and then a spoonful of porridge. No, Lord Night just said, let me meet all the requirements of Yunwu girl. The maidservant looked at Yunwu eating for a long time. Yunwu never ate a few mouthfuls of food, but she was eating all the time today. To her surprise, she was also very surprised. She quickly gave Yunwu something to eat. All the requirements, why the words are so funny, make Yunwu almost laugh. Then I want to go out. Can you satisfy me? Cloud Dance raises eyes. One eye is full of unfathomable with irony. Sure enough, the maid looked around in panic, then lowered her head, thought for a while, and slowly shook her head. Lord Night said that all the requirements can meet you except to let you leave. Cloud Dance did not speak, but just a faint smile, continued to eat. It's not that she's better, but that she has the motivation to eat even if she vomit. In order to save her physical strength, she turns to look at her maid one day, but she looks very flustered. She always looks around and doesn't know what she's afraid of. I haven't eaten so much food in my stomach for a long time. After holding up too much food, Yunwu suddenly felt that his stomach was torn and he was sweating. But maybe it was because of the hope that she had a better appetite and more food. Yunwu resisted her discomfort, forced her nausea and turned pale. Miss Cloud Dance, I think the Night Lord may be really for you. The maid said such a strange word, then continued to bow her head, looked at the dishes in front of her, and said nothing. Will you keep me here for my own good? Yunwu sighed, shaking his head helplessly, lowered his head and continued to pick up the food with chopsticks and put it into his mouth. What's the plan of the night? I don't think you're a bad person. Why don't you just tell me here? I won't tell you. The maid was a little flustered. She looked around, then shook her head and kept on lowering her head. Cloud Dance also frowns. This woman is really strange. Can't you say that Night doesn't let her say anything? Or who's watching her? Pursed his mouth, the mouth of things barely swallow, looking at the plate of things have gone. Take porridge sip down, a warm stomach after a stab. Yunwu feels that the fat baby in her stomach is moving. There is another nausea in her stomach. She covers her mouth and her eyes are red. She is forced to resist the nausea. Miss Cloud Dance, are you okay? Have some water. The maid quickly came forward, put a bowl in front of Yunwu and fed it to Yunwu's mouth. Yunwu took 2 draughts of water, and finally felt more comfortable. He took a deep breath, and looked down for a moment. The maid was very kind to herself, but she seemed to be on guard. The maidservant never talks much and does not care. She just does her job well and answers her questions in a safe way. And every time she asked about the night, the maid was in a panic, which made Yunwu feel a little strange. Well, what is the Night doing now, and how long is he going to come to see me? Cloud Dance bowed his head to meditate, and then asked unintentionally, I haven't seen him for some time. Well, I don't know. The maid continued to lower her head. The Night Master said that as long as he is free, he will surely come to see Yunwu girl. Do you know what kind of alien world we are in now? Cloud Dance asked again. The maidservant still shook her head. I don't know, because I was also brought by Lord Yi from the human world. Clearly nodded, Cloud Dance squinted, silent for a long time, and asked, Do you know the true identity of the Night? The maidservant looked up at the Cloud Dance for a long time. Her eyes were full of confusion. After thinking for a while, she slowly shook her head. Then, the maidservant began not to speak. She just hesitated and agreed. Later, when she asked again, the maid didn't say a word. Finally, seeing that Yunwu had finished eating, she packed up her things, stood up and bowed to Yunwu, then turned and left. After a long time, Yunwu finally felt less disgusted, so she propped up her heavy body. The huge baby's legs were shaking. If it wasn't for her strong physical fitness, I'm afraid her legs would be broken now. Just touch the warm food. The whole body finally had a trace of warmth. At this time, once again touched the ice-cold boulder. Suddenly another shiver. Yunwoo's face is very ugly, but just tightly pursed his mouth silent. Yunwoo sat back on the boulder and sneered in his heart. For my good, how could he ignore another child? I'm afraid it's time to do something with your children. Cloud Dance sneer in the heart. This kind of thing, how can let him succeed? Close your eyes and see another weak child in the body. This child is very tenacious. Although he has been squeezed by the fat baby and is dying, he is still breathing tenaciously. His small stomach is fluctuating. So she began to practice with her knees crossed, trying to enrich her weak body. She thought that even if she could recover some energy here, she could make some plans for the future escape. At the same time, he thought about the strategy of leaving in his mind. Unknowingly, after a circle of fighting spirit in the body, Yunwoo already felt the breath was smoother. She opened her eyes and vomited. Although her body is still very weak now, it is much stronger than a few days ago. The food in the stomach is basically digested. Although it's still nauseous, it can be overcome. This is a good start. Yunwoo sits for a rest, climbs down from the boulder, holds his stomach, and moves forward slowly in the dark. The cold in the cave is not as cold as the bone marrow on the boulder. The Cloud Dance even feels a little warm here, and the little life in the belly seems to have a feeling at this time. And the breath of life is a little stronger. After sleeping on the cave wall for a while, Yunwoo opens her eyes and still sees darkness. In the dark place, she can't tell the day from the dark. Yunwoo holds the wall, stands up and goes on. In this way has been walking, but still did not see the end of the road. Yunwoo feel a little disappointed, while slowly groping. Occasionally, there will be a bat with red eyes on the road, which pounces on her and is killed by her. The whole dark place is echoing. Yunwoo turned to look behind him, sighed, and continued to grope around to see if there was any place to leave. I don't know how long I've been walking, and I haven't walked so much for a long time. Stop to take a breath, Cloud Dance cross knee and sit. Look at his stomach, but found that the belly of the child, and some of the depression. Obviously, it's been a long time since he was given the source of life last time. So Yunwoo separated a strand of the source of life and gave it to the baby, and the weak baby began to have a trace of vitality again. Seeing that the little baby is alive in his own stomach, Yunwoo has power again. After a long time of practicing and breathing, his face has gradually recovered, and he feels that his body has strength. Waiting for the child to get up again, Yunwoo stood up and continued to walk forward. She thought that maybe she had gone too far behind, so she just went on. So slowly forward. Because of the activity, she didn't feel cold. She felt for the surrounding mountain wall and walked slowly. But it didn't come to an end. This is strange, Yunwoo thought. When she came in, she clearly felt that the dark place was not very big. However, when she came down, she found that it was much bigger than she thought. At least, I have been gone for a long time, but I still haven't come to the end. Suddenly, Yunwoo saw a huge stone standing not far away. Suddenly stunned, that piece of rock is not the one you cultivate on it. Cold sweat makes her frown, looking at the stone in front of her, silent for a long time. Or that stone is another stone? If you walk in a straight line, you must be far away from this stone. Now, how can you appear behind you? He went to the stone in the middle and looked around. He found that it was the stone he was practicing on, and it didn't even differ in shape. He sighed dejectedly. Yunwoo slowly walked back to the edge of the boulder in the middle and sat down. He suddenly felt a sweat on his body. He was shivered by the cold air, and his teeth trembled. He leaned against the boulder and soaked his marrow with chills. Rubbing his hands, Yunwoo closed his eyes and tried to get in touch with the contract beast again, but failed. He sat back on the stone and continued to practice. In the current situation, if they break through by force, they still have a good chance of winning. Yunwoo collected a lot of sharp stones in the dark place and polished them on a rough stone. She didn't have any short weapons on her body. She felt that she suffered some losses. He polished the weapon with difficulty. Yunwu picked up the stone weapon like a dagger and waved it in his hand twice. He nodded with satisfaction. At least, it's much more convenient to use than the big weapon like Guwu dagger. He pinned the dagger behind his waist, and Yunwu polished several small stones into small stone beads as weapons. Everything is ready. Yunwu hides everything on her body and sits quietly on the boulder. She plans to have a rest and wait for her maidservant to leave. After a while, the maid came in from the outside with her food box. She looked a little flustered. She turned her head and looked behind her. Then she hesitated for a while. Then she said slowly, "Yunwu girl, come to dinner." Yunwu opened his eyes and said with a smile, "I trouble you so much every day." Cloud dance, long time no see. Behind the maid, a familiar voice suddenly came. Let Cloud dance suddenly heart a tight, smile doin' show. Night, how do you come? Today's night, let Cloud dance suddenly feel very strange. Although his appearance did not change, his evil smile did not change, but he sent out a dark gas. This dark air is about to soar up and wrap his whole body. Although he still smiles and talks with Yunwu as before, Yunwu always feels that there is inexplicable strangeness hidden in this person's smile. The appearance of the night makes Yunwu feel full of crisis. Originally, she had made all preparations to leave here, but now she is disillusioned because of the appearance of the night. She is angry in her heart, but she hears the voice of Night joking. I think you are in good health now. It seems that my servants take good care of you these days. The radiance of the corner of his mouth makes Yunwu feel a little uncomfortable. His body instinctively dislikes and repels him, and even makes a defensive reaction unconsciously. His fighting spirit suddenly envelopes his whole body. The murderous gas emitted from Yunwu's body is like a cat seeing a stranger. What are you doing here? Aren't you busy? Cloud Dance squints her eyes and looks at the Night that seems very happy in front of her. Night walked forward 2 steps, a little closer to the cloud. Yunwu took a step back and frowned more tightly. She suddenly escaped the stone dagger from her back waist and stabbed at Night's face. But in front of her, the Night seemed a lot lighter. He turned his face, avoided Yunwu's attack, stepped back, and stood 2 steps away from Yunwu. Yunwu, you are still the same as before. He waved his hands and said with a smile, don't panic. You're not good for the baby in your stomach. Yunwu didn't speak, just quietly holding the dagger in his hand, watching him warily. After a pause in the night, he suddenly raised his hand and snatched the dagger from Yunwu like lightning. The dagger made of stone is not very hard. At this time, he was caught by the Night and fell to the ground. Cloud Dance, how can you start when you don't agree with each other? You are too grumpy. It's not good for the growth of children. You'd better change your temper. Night raised his hand to pull Cloud Dance's hand, to push back. The cloud danced and fell beside the huge stone. Night lunged forward, squat down looking at the Cloud Dance, good-looking face is joking smile. Cloud Dance, you have to eat well, practice well, absorb more dark energy, so that children can grow up healthily. Seeing that Yunwu was very cautious and exclusive, the Night couldn't help laughing and sighed helplessly. You don't have to care. This kind of exclusion is very normal, because I belong to the dark faction like Long Qingxia. You are a member of the bright race. You will definitely reject the people of the dark faction. For this, Cloud Dance heart is very disdain. Heart also just listened to it, now still can't in Night confrontation, so at this time can only choose to silence down. But the funny thing is that she has never been repelled by the evil breath of the dragon. So it must be something wrong with the Night. Yunwu lowered his head and pondered for a moment. He sat up silently and leaned against the boulder. Finally, he raised his head and said to the Night, it's not that I'm grumpy, but because this place is too depressing. I want to leave the dark place. The child in his stomach is going to die soon, Yunwu thought, but now he can only pretend he doesn't know. I can't stand it. If it goes on like this, I may go crazy. Don't forget, I'm from the light faction. Of course, I'm very exclusive of dark energy. So say, Cloud Dance's eyes have no a little expression, but in the heart is secretly thinking about how can Night to persuade. Night sighed, turned to take the maid's food box, took out the water and food, put it on the ground, cross-legged and sat down, indicating that Yunwoo also sat down. Yunwoo, you can rest assured, I will take care of you. There are still 3 days, your child will be born, so now, you'd better calm down and spend the last 3 days. 3 days? 3 days to go before the baby is born? The birth of this baby probably means that the child with bright constitution will not be able to continue to absorb his own nutrients, so it means that his other child will die. She secretly clenched her teeth and was very angry. She would never allow the child to die in her stomach for a long time. He has to survive. Yunwoo clenched her fist and narrowed her eyes slightly. Moreover, this night must be a plot for her child. Otherwise she would not take care of herself for no reason. He turned his head and looked at the maid, but she lowered her head and said nothing. Anyway, hold him steady first. Cloud Dance thinks so in the heart, but lowers the head to smile side. Well then I listen to you, wait a little longer, maybe really like what you said. After listening to Yunwoo's words, he finally laughed and gave Yunwoo the food on his plate. Eat more. Cloud Dance nods and smiles, silently eating, but gradually cold eyes. This place, said nothing can stay. Within 2 days, you must let yourself leave here, otherwise, the other child's life will be lost. However, the most important thing now is where Long Qingxia is, and whether he has anything to do with it. Yunwoo thinks to herself. She touches her stomach and continues to eat. And the maid saw that Yunwoo was eating incense, so she rushed forward and pushed all the dishes in front of her. After seeing off Yi and her maid, Yunwoo sits back on the boulder and closes her eyes. She decided to postpone this action until tomorrow. Because she has proposed to go out today, she will be more defensive tonight. Therefore, it is not appropriate to scare the snake now. So just dive down, and try to get the best out of yourself. Sitting on the boulder and closing her eyes, she gave the baby a ray of life, and continued to regulate her breath carefully. Finally, she felt more physical. Yunwoo thought that the 3rd day the child would be born. She opened her eyes and checked her weapons. Then she got up and went to the door. In the dark place, Yunwoo moves forward cautiously. In her present state, she must be very careful to leave here. If there is a little disturbance to the 2 guards at the door, there is probably no possibility to continue. Yunwoo went to the narrow staircase, looked up and sipped his mouth. Then he held the dagger in his hand, and climbed the steps step by step. On the steps, Yunwoo found that there was no guard in front of him, and he didn't understand what was going on. But Yunwoo was relieved and touched his stomach. Yunwoo quietly went out from the entrance. At the door, a warm wind made the Cloud Dance comfortable. I couldn't help taking a breath and walking forward. However, a black figure suddenly appeared in front of him, blocking the way of Cloud Dance. Cloud Dance, where are you going? Night smile, as if in a good mood. Is it difficult to be hungry today? Can't wait for my people to give you food. Going out to find food? Yunwoo's eyes are cold, and he looks at the night without blinking, but the night seems not to see it. The nameless anger in his heart rushes straight to the top of his head. Yunwoo feels that he may be able to pinch the neck of the night in the next second. This man really makes people gnash their teeth. He clearly has been tracking himself and monitoring himself. He says that he has no time to see, but in fact he has been observing in the dark for a long time. In the heart is agitated, Cloud Dance raises head. Looking at Night, the tone is cold. What purpose do you have after all? Helpless smile, Night touched his nose. As if very innocent looking at the cloud said, how can I have any purpose? I just care about you, this friend. Now your body is so weak, you do not cultivate well, but also from the run out, not good for you, not good for children. With these words, it feels like a husband who has a relationship with his wife. But Cloud Dance sounds a little changed. I'm afraid you want my child? Yunwoo is thinking about it in his heart. If it's not good to talk about it next, he'll have a hard time with him. He's a little nervous. After all, he's carrying 3 lives. But if this continues, who knows what the night will do? How can you say that to me? You see, I send people to send you food and water. Change your clothes and ask your servants about your health every day. How can I do it for anything? It would hurt my heart too much. The voice seems to be with helpless and innocent, but how can Yunwoo believe him? Cloud Dance lowered his head. Tone became firm. I have to leave here. Then he turned and walked forward. Unexpectedly, the knight behind him suddenly grasped Yunwu's wrist, so powerful that Yunwu couldn't break away. He turned his head and glared at the knight, but saw the knight laughing happily. Yunwu, it's very dangerous for you to go out alone. 2 days later, I don't care where you want to go. I know that you are very urgent to find Long Qingxia, but since I have called you, I have to be responsible for you in the end. Cloud Dance eyes a cold. We'll fight over the palm of the hand. Hard to beat to the knight. I didn't expect that knight would raise her hand to dissolve Yunwu's attack, but that hand was still holding Yunwu's arm. How on earth can you let me go? The cloud dances in a cold voice. Yunwu, don't forget that I'm the one who gave you the strength of earth. Are you really so ungrateful? The voice of the knight suddenly increased, obviously a little angry. The power of earth? Yeah, if it wasn't for that, he could call himself a friend and get close to them. But I don't believe you. Yunwu shakes off the hand of knight. Unexpectedly, the knight suddenly came to the front of Yunwu, stopped Yunwu, so fast that Yunwu didn't come back, and the knight was smiling. But Cloud Dance always feels that the smile of the knight is full of threats. The scene suddenly fell into a stalemate, as if the battle between the two was imminent. In the upper boundary near the border, Xiaoqiu is sitting in a tea house temporarily to have a rest. Oh my guest, what can I do for you? The shopkeeper saw Meng Bai coming straight to the door of the shop with sharp eyes, and quickly welcomed him with a smile. Meng Bai doesn't pay attention to it. He sweeps around the small shop, and finally points to the little stink. The little stink quickly greets him. Already? Little Stink made a ready-to-serve gesture to the waiter, and asked Meng Bai after the waiter left. Well, it's all ready. Meng Bai said. We are going to the most shady place. This is the last stop where there are still people. After we leave here, there is a deserted place. We need to prepare a lot of things. Fortunately, there is a grocery market not far away, and we have collected all the things. Meng Bai said. The shop boy just came up with the food and put the little stinky things on the table. Small Stink is not stingy, and rewards some money. Shop boy immediately left with a smile. They stopped talking until they had eaten all the things on the table, and then they put down their chopsticks one after another. I don't know what happened to them, whether they found anything. Meng Bai suddenly said such a sentence. Small Stink is drinking soup hand meal, then tilted his head to think, said. I think they must have been to the place, at least Chi night they should have arrived. The map of the upper bound is irregular. We go a lot farther than them, and the position of the transmission array is closer to them. In a word, we will be able to see them when we go back. Meng Bai nodded and said, That's right. We have to speed up again. If we delay one more day, the little dance will be dangerous. Small Stinky Eyes flashed a serious, nodded, and then put down the bowl. Just as they were about to leave, they suddenly saw a team of officers and soldiers come in. As soon as they came in, they yelled at the door. Don't move. All sit down. Is the shopkeeper in? Come out. Meng Bai's palm moved, and he pressed the little smelly hand directly. What's the matter? Xiao Smelly looked at him suspiciously. They don't care about this kind of thing. First of all, these officers and soldiers can't beat him. As long as they report their identities, don't they have to be obedient? Are you afraid of them? Little Smelly looked puzzled and saw Meng Bai's finger. He pointed to a pile of portraits in the hands of the officers and soldiers at the head. What was revealed was that he could see a pair of eyes painted vividly. Just one eye could clearly see that the person in the portrait was Cloud Dancing. Small Stink instantly calmed down. Two people honestly sitting in their own position, looking at the group of officers. Fortunately, they were sitting in a remote place, and the officers and soldiers just stood at the door, so they didn't recognize them. Just now, in the busy tavern, it became quiet and looked at each other one by one. I didn't understand what had happened in this small place, which had never been a big deal. So many officers and soldiers could go out together. Soon, the shopkeeper got the news and immediately came out from behind. When he saw the people coming, he was busy to meet them. Maybe the officers and soldiers usually had some prestige, and the shopkeeper's face was respectful. I don't know if you have any orders when you come to the shop? The shopkeeper asked with a smile. The officer and soldier were not polite either. With a shake of his hand, a pile of portraits immediately unfolded and said, "Have you ever seen this woman?" The shopkeeper looked up and was amazed by the man in the picture. In a flash, he felt familiar, but he couldn't remember where he had seen it. "This I look familiar, but I can't remember." At this time, a man behind the soldier said, "Brother, you forget, this is the famous Miss Yunwu. You can't ask like this." "Ah." Miss Cloud Dance, the shopkeeper heard a scream. "I said how familiar it is. That's right. It's Miss Yunwu who took us to kill the Beast Gate." "What?" Miss Cloud Dance. As soon as the shopkeeper's voice fell, other people in the tavern were boiling. Although not everyone has seen the appearance of Yunwu, don't forget that Yunwu has made great contributions to the attack on the Beast Gate. Just listening to the name, you will feel like a thunderbolt. If you can see one side of Yunwu, you will be afraid to show off for a lifetime. Are you looking for Miss Yunwu? Is Miss Yunwu here again? Oh my God, Miss Yunwu, if only I could meet you. Xiao Smelly and Shengguan look at each other. They don't know what's going on. Unexpectedly, Cloud Dance has such a great influence on the people. Even such a remote corner of the upper world worships her so fiercely. The two looked at each other and decided to keep quiet for the time being. If these people knew that they were also one of the generals who killed the Beast Gate, they would be surrounded by fans. "Have you seen her?" The officers and soldiers frowned and asked the shopkeeper. "See you?" The shopkeeper's embarrassed smile. "It's a joke. Miss Yunwu is a person in the human world. She left after hearing about the war. How could a little person like us have met her? But everyone knows her appearance. Even if she hasn't seen it with her own eyes, I've seen a lot of portraits. I'm sure she'll be familiar." The first officer and soldier was reminded by his subordinates and shopkeeper's words, and then realized that he had asked a stupid question. Forget it, forget it. The leader waved his hand, then raised his voice and said to the people in the tavern, "Everyone listen to me. Miss Yunwu led us to destroy the Beast Gate. She was very kind to us. Without her, we would still live under the oppression of the Beast Gate. So you said, if Miss Cloud Dance has something to do, should we help?" "Help? You have to help," said someone in the tavern at once. "What's the matter? Do we need to unite? If so, I'll be the first to sign up. He who dares to trouble Miss Yunwu will trouble us." A strong man of 5'3" rough said, a face of justice awe-inspiring. "Yes. Miss Yunwu has protected us, so we should protect her when she is in danger." The reaction of the masses obviously satisfied the officers and soldiers. Then the leader raised his hand and suppressed the sound of the scene. Then he said, "Well, since you all think so, let me hear it clearly. We all know what happened to Miss Yunwu the day before her wedding, so we should know that Miss Yunwu is still in a coma. But now things have changed again. New changes. Little Stink and Mengbai are trembling in their hearts. When they leave Yunwu, there is nothing wrong with them. Now they say that there is a new change? Two people's hearts suddenly nervous, but count up, they left just soon. Even if it is to happen, there should not be too much change. And according to the words of Night, Cloud Dance should not be affected now, so it can't be consumed by extreme speed. What is it?" Then he heard the official continue to say, "Not long ago, a mysterious man appeared and gave away to rescue Miss Yunwu, but unexpectedly, this man was a wolf. He tried to get rid of the experts around Miss Yunwu. Under the condition that the Cloud family trusted him so much, he took away Miss Yunwu impressively." What? Bang! A loud noise. Abruptly we'll hear the news. Shocked people wake up from the shock. Everyone turned around one after another, only to see that Xiao Smelly was covered in the golden light, and his temperament was extremely sacred. However, his face was gloomy and frightening, and all the people present were scared. It's really strange. Who is this man? Suddenly, what's the matter? My God, what a strong breath. Mengbai was also very angry, but he restrained himself rationally. He quickly came forward and pressed Xiao Chou down, patted him on the shoulder and said seriously, "Don't worry, now you're angry. We don't know who abducted Xiao Wu, and we don't know how she is now." Small Stink body up and down wrapped with golden light, finally in Mengbai's kind persuasion, gradually subsided. Mengbai smiles and apologizes to the people around him one by one. Then he sits down and says, "What can we do now, or we'll go back to Yinfu directly?" But little Stinky sat there quietly with a cold face and thought for a long time, then suddenly said, "No, since we are all here, it's a pity to go back now. If there is a way to kill the child and let Yinwu wake up, we must have a try. But what if that night is false?" Mengbai frowned and fell into meditation. "That place is not far away from us." Little Stink looked around. After the inn went out, less than 200 miles ahead, there was a barren swamp and grassland. In front of it, there was a gray and black landscape, full of smoke and lifeless. "I think if we don't spell it, how can we know whether what ye said is true or not?" Little Smelly took the weapon in his hand, and his face was gloomy and terrible. Finally out of the inn, check what is still missing, and fully equipped, the two continued to move towards the desolate continental margin. The more people walk to the edge, the more rare they are. Occasionally, one or two people come back from the edge of the mainland with a basket on their back. When they see Mengbai, they are very strange. "I say, you two, how can you go this way?" Xiao Smelly and Mengbai looked at each other. Mengbai came forward and said, "We are going to the edge of the mainland. Is it true that brothers also come from there?" I saw the man's face changed, frowned, looked up and down for a while, and suddenly said, "Now there are still people who dare to go to that place. Don't you know that there is almost no return?" Mengbai two people did not answer, continued to move forward without saying a word. Until in the end, there was no shadow of the birds. The air around them was oppressive, the water vapor on the ground was steaming up, and the gray fog in the sky was pouring down. They walked between the heaven and the earth, and could not even hear their own echo. Gradually, the grassland faded, ice and snow cover, gradually, into a white snow, cold endless snow. Let two people shiver, spit cold. "Do you think we can really find that treasure?" Little Smelly was worried and suddenly began to hesitate. Mengbai patted him on the shoulder with a smile and said, "Just now you were still trying to persuade me to relax. Now it's your turn to worry." Looking up at the endless gray snow, he turned to the little Stink and said, "Anyway, we've all come here. Let's go on." Little Stinky sighed and held the weapon tightly in his hand. They pondered for a moment and marched to the depth of the snow. Mengbai was a little dispirited. He found a place where there was no snow and sat on it. He sighed. "Where is the highest mountain? Do you think it's just an excuse for night to take away the clouds?" The more you listen, the worse you look. Gradually, the dark fog on the dark snow plains suddenly became thick, and the fog slowly pressed on their heads. Mengbai feels that it is more and more difficult to breathe. He gasps and turns to look at the little Stink around him, but he sees that the little Stink's face is also very ugly. Is there really something around here? Xiaoxieka and Mengbai look at each other. Two people continue to walk forward. To the end, everything in front of has been blurred. The last two people seem to be in the clouds. "Mengbai, you'd better follow me closely. I feel that we may lose our way next, or even can't see each other as soon as we separate a little bit." Little Stink said seriously. Mengbai also felt it and nodded seriously. Suddenly, a strange shadow flashed in front of them, but in the thick fog, they couldn't see what it was, but there were few people here. At this time, a shadow suddenly appeared, which is not surprising. "Let's see who this man is," Mengbai whispered, patting Xiao Stinky on the shoulder. Small Stink also and Mengbai together, two people back to back, carefully forward. But all of a sudden, a shadow flashed in front of Xiaoqiu, which made Xiaoqiu feel tight and said in a low voice, "Mengbai, I also see a shadow." This Mengbai two people's hearts began to worry. In this place, either want to put people to death, or I'm afraid, is not a person. Sure enough, after a while, two shadows flashed by. But these shadows were only in the thick fog, but they didn't mean to attack. They made them confused. They walked forward carefully and found that the more they went forward, the more shadows they had. Until in front of the fog, suddenly appeared a huge shadow, suddenly let two people lung there. The cold wind changed their faces, but they almost screamed out and ran over. In the cold wind, the tall peaks are covered with white snow, and you can't see the end at a glance. "My God! It seems that we have found the right one." Small Stink suddenly laughed, A scream suddenly turned into a huge phoenix, turned to look at Meng Bai. Meng Bai also understand, jump on the body of small stink, two people leap up. On the top of the highest mountain, the place was so narrow that it was only enough for two people to stay at night. At a glance, they saw that what they wanted was on the ground. Meng Bai was surprised and jumped down and rushed up. But unexpectedly, a shadow suddenly appeared in front of them and attacked them without saying a word. All of a sudden, two people in the top of the mountain and they get together, two soul body, no consciousness, just out of instinct to protect the treasure. The two souls are very powerful. They fight with each other for a long time, but they don't retreat. This makes Meng Bai and Xiao Qiu very anxious. Suddenly, in the wind and snow behind him, an old man came out. He just raised his hand and waved away the two soul bodies in front of him. Meng Bai was very happy. He rushed forward and said to the old man, "Thank you very much, Great Xia." The old man didn't speak, but his eyes were clear. He looked them up and down, and suddenly said, "I'll give you this treasure." They were very surprised. No matter what the old man said was true or not, they quickly picked up the treasure and prepared to go back to Yunfu. But he was stopped by the old man and said, "I'm going to go with you too." Meng Bai thought for a long time, but they were all puzzled. But because the old man was kind to them, they agreed. So Xiao Qiu turned into a phoenix, carrying them without stopping, and immediately flew to Yunfu. Just after arriving at the gate of Yunfu, Yunqi has already got the news. He specially guards at the gate. Seeing that they are back, he hastens to meet them. "General Yin, we've brought things back." Meng Bai comes forward, takes out the treasure and hands it to Yunqi. Then he frowned and said to Yunqi, "This old man, even the one who gave us the treasure, will come back with us." Yunqi looks at the old man behind Meng Bai, only to find that he is also a soul. At that moment, Yunqi understood that this man was the same as the first two elders, so he immediately turned to the person behind him and said, "Come on, give this elder a room." Yes, the guard took the order, and went to prepare immediately. Yunqi came up to the old man and said, "You are welcome. The day before yesterday, two masters have just arrived in the mansion. They may know each other." The old man nodded, said, "I know, out of such a thing, they cannot ignore, go walk and say." Yunqi nodded and immediately welcomed the old man in. "How do you address me?" Yunqi asks. With a smile, the old man said, "Our brothers are four people. As for their names and taboos, no one has called them for many years. In the past, it became known as the Old Man. Later, it was divided into four directions: southeast, northwest of the upper boundary. I was in the west." On hearing this, Yunqi immediately understood what he meant and said, "Master Shi." The old man laughed and said, "I heard that something happened to your daughter. I'm afraid it's not a trivial matter. Maybe it has something to do with the purpose of our existence. So I've come here specially to have a look. Just feel free and don't be polite. In other words, we are still bothering." Where does Yunqi dare to go on? But he also saw that the old man didn't like etiquette, so he quickly said, "It's better to do something. To be honest, the government has been trying to find it, but there has been no whereabouts. Now when we meet the elders, we see a glimmer of hope in a word. There should be another elder on the way. I'll send someone to meet you later." "Ha ha ha, at last. I'm afraid it's my third brother. He has the most eccentric temperament. You should do well and don't annoy him." With that, the old man went to the depth of Yunfu with a smile. "Look at the direction he's going. It's the direction where the first two elders live." Yunqi was shocked. He didn't expect that they felt like they had a connection with each other. In order not to expose themselves, the two old men had converged their breath very well, but the Western old man found their direction easily. Surprised, Yunqi reminds herself to send someone to pick up the last old man later. Soon, without the guidance of Yunqi, the Western elder directly found the top two positions. The two men were sitting in the yard playing chess. When they saw the Western elder coming, they just said hello and went on. The Western elders were not worried. First they asked about their room, and then they asked Yunqi about these days. Seeing that the two elders didn't mean it was over, they shook their heads helplessly. "Take me around here, maybe you can find something." said the old man. Just as Yin Qi wanted to agree, the voice of the old man from the north came over. There's no need to go. We don't know how many times we've looked around here. We haven't found anything. Except for the place where things happened at the door that day. There's still a little smell left. There's no smell at all. It's no use going there. The old man from the west picked his eyebrows and saw that the old man from the north was about to lose. He was worried and couldn't help laughing. He went to watch the game quietly. In Yunqi's heart, is he leading the way or leaving quietly? Are you just watching? Now the Cloud family is in charge of the overall situation. If he is here all the time, he doesn't know what happened outside. But if he is not here, it will inevitably neglect these distinguished guests. Finally, the old man turned his head and asked, "Who is your grandson-in-law?" Yin Qi is stunned. What son-in-law? Isn't that dragon's evil? Just as he was about to speak, the Western elder said again, "I'm not asking about his identity, but about his strength, moves and fighting spirit besides his superficial identity. Do you know?" As soon as the words came out, Yin Qi frowned. Strange to say, if he asked about the identity of the dragon, he would be able to answer a question or two, and he probably knew his strength, but he didn't understand the moves and the fighting spirit he used. Moreover, if you remember correctly, the power of the dragon seems to be different from others, and it's black, but how can anyone's fighting spirit be black? Yunqi thought for a long time and didn't know how to answer, but if he didn't even know his grandson-in-law, it would be a shame. It seems that the old man in the west saw his tangle, and silently asked the evil dragon in his heart. Then he said, "It's okay, you just need to say what you see on the surface, and we will infer the rest by ourselves. You don't have to worry. I just want to speculate about who will take him away. Maybe you can find those who will take her. It's not impossible to follow suit at that time." Yin Qi nodded, thinking that it was no secret about the dragon's betrayal of evil, and said it to the old Westerner. With his words, the old Westerner's brows slowly wrinkled when Lan Yu, Hong Ling and Bai Shuer had just stepped out of the teleportation array. The soldiers of the Cloud family who had been waiting for the teleportation array for a long time immediately welcomed them. "3, you are back at last." The soldier said that when he saw the 3 people appear, he even looked behind them as if they were looking at someone. Hong Ling couldn't bear it for a long time. She stepped forward and held the soldier's shoulder and asked, "I ask you, is the rumor true?" The soldier's shoulder was pinched, but when he heard Hong Ling's question, his eyes flashed a touch of indignation. "It's true, miss. It's really gone. Blue, you 3 people almost stand not steady. From the beginning they follow Cloud dance side, until now, never like now so flustered. In the past, no matter what happened to Yunwu, even if it was seriously injured, at least they could feel it. As long as they could feel it, they would not feel flustered. They might die together, or they could know what happened to Yunwu's body. But now, starting from the coma of Yunwu, they lost contact with Yunwu. They could not even feel that their master was pregnant with a little master in his body. They could not return to their own space. They had to stay outside. Day by day, it was clear that Yunwu was extremely dangerous, but they didn't feel anything. 3 people over and over again to see if their contract is still. The answer is yes, but why on earth? How can there be no contact? Did the hosts go to a place they had never heard of? 3, are you the only one back? The soldiers of the Cloud family army stretched out their heads and looked behind them for a long time, but they didn't see anything, so they couldn't help asking. The 3 looked at each other, and Lan Yu asked, "What do you mean? Are you?" The soldier then replied, "When the previous generals came back, they all brought a soul body back. It is said that there were 4 of them, and the last one should have followed 3 of them. That's why they let me guard here, but I didn't see it." Voice just fell. An old but full of rebellious voice came out. "Well, those 3 old guys came here with such enthusiasm this time?" With this voice, a soul body does not know where to come from. It is a white-haired old man again. As soon as the soldier's eyes brightened, he immediately said respectfully, "I think this is the old man from the south. The master and the other 3 old men have been waiting in the Cloud family for a long time, and ordered me to come specially to meet them." As soon as these words came out, the 3 of them understood. It seems that the four things they took separately had their own guardians, and they were not guardians at all. It's just that I didn't expect that these guardians knew each other, and their strength was unexpectedly high. It's just that they don't understand why they know that. What's more, he just wanted to take Yunwu away. But if it's just to take away Yunwu, why should it take so much trouble? The more they think about it, the more they don't understand. At this moment, how they hope Yunwu can answer these questions for them, but it's obviously impossible. Well, those three old guys still remember some friendship. The old man in the south snorted and said, "In that case, why don't you lead the way soon? Hurry up. Laozi's time is precious." Yes. Have the officers and men of Yin family army ever been instructed by outsiders? But before he came, Gao Yu directly ordered him not to neglect any of the four elders. That's why he was so willing to be obedient. A group of 5 people rushed to the clouds' home quickly. The old man in the south thought that their speed was too slow, so he simply moved his own moves and took 4 people on the road quickly. It's such a long way. It's only half a fragrant time to get to the gate of the Cloud family. Lan Yu 3 people have long been surprised, but the soldiers of the Cloud family army have long been stunned. Has he ever seen such ability? Originally thought that the strength of Cloud Dance is already very high. At least few people have been able to beat her before, but now in front of the old man found that the strength of the old man is more unfathomable. Such a long distance can be reached in an instant. What kind of strength should it be? Only Lan Yu carefully observed that the old man actually used something mysterious similar to magic weapon. Even the familiar Hongling and Bai Shuer didn't find it. As soon as I got to the door of Yun's house, I saw that when I left, the door was still heavily guarded. There were clear teams on both sides of the door, standing neatly with weapons. As soon as the figure of the 5 appeared, the soldiers first made a well-trained defensive posture, and then when they saw the comer clearly, someone immediately went in to report, and the others quietly restored their previous standing posture. Yes, I know how to respect my elders. The old man touched his beard and said with a smile. All the way, they all know that the old people in the south are informal, careless and arrogant. Sometimes they like to be respected, but they hate flattery. Soon, a neat sound of footsteps rang out in the depth of Yun's home. It was Yin Qi who came out with a group of generals. It's lucky that the old people from the south have come all the way. Please don't give up and come in quickly. As he said this, Yin Qi immediately led the man in. The old people in the south hate empty ceremony the most. At this time, they ran straight inside for fear that Yin Qi would talk a lot of nonsense, but they didn't say a word. Behind him, the Blue U3 quickly follow. What about the 3 old men? Why don't you come out to meet me? Anyway, I'm an old friend. How can I be so impolite? The old man in the south blew his beard and glared. He looked like an old urchin. There was a cold sweat on Yin Qi's forehead. The characters of the 4 old men are very strange, but now they seem to be the only one who can find Yunwu. The hope of the Cloud family is in their heart, so no one dares to neglect them. What are you talking about? And speak ill of us behind our backs, don't you? It's an old voice again. It's full of Zhongqi. Looking at the source of the sound, they saw 3 souls sitting in the pavilion, looking at this side in their spare time. You always speak ill of us behind our backs, and you want us to go out to meet you? No way, the Oriental old man said with a smile. What's more, this is the Cloud family, not our territory. We are all guests like you. How can we let the guests meet the guests? The 3 old people, you say a word, I say a word, look between each other and years of old friends in general. Excuse. The old man in the south snorted, walked over and sat down in an empty seat. Then he waved his hand behind him and said, Okay, what should you do? I want to talk to my brothers now. No one is allowed to disturb me. As soon as the words came out, although people were very curious about what they wanted to say, they were still forced by their identity and did not ask. Naturally, Yin Qi is also very curious. Although he is old, he is still the owner of the Yun family. These 3 people have been dead for a long time, leaving only 1 soul body. If you really want to count up, no matter what age these 4 soul bodies are, they are enough to be his ancestors. Therefore, Yin Qi can only be regarded as a junior in front of them. Now that the 4 of them have already spoken, Yunqi and his family can't wait here any longer, so they directly demobilize all the people around them and leave this place to the four of them together. As soon as they left, the four immediately let go. The old man in the south said in a hurry, "How many days have you been here? What have you found?" The other three people's faces immediately sank down and said, "Originally we were thinking about making a fuss. There was no trace of the smell of the demons in the Cloud family, but I felt a little different in the place where they said it happened. It's a pity that it's been too long and I can't feel it clearly. Maybe I made a mistake." "Wrong." The old man in the south was stunned, and then he looked serious. "Boss, you have to be sure, this kind of thing is not careless." The Oriental old man said with a bitter smile, "Of course I know it's very careless, but it's been more than half a year, and it's just a little time. What do you want me to do?" The old man in the south snorted and said, "Come on, I see, it's you who have been guarding the baby for a long time, and you haven't fought for such a long time, so your strength has declined, right? Don't you believe it? Let's have a fight?" That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.